I, the self-disciplined captain of the Uchiha police force. Chapter 26 Sarutobi Hiruzen's defeat. Training ground. The dull atmosphere was quickly broken. Naoki and Tsunade said hello and joined Itachi into the training team. And Tsunade's expression was extremely complicated at the moment, and he didn't care that his hand was pulled by Bai. Sin-ah. The Senju clan is still waiting for you to revive, and you actually fell in love with Uchiha's man. Do not be discouraged. Bai comforted softly. Tubby practice is useless, go back and practice trumpet again. When it's a big deal, when you have your first baby, I'll give the baby the name Senju. Am I talking about this problem? And, does this have anything to do with you? It's like my first child is going to be born with you. Tsunade looked blankly at Bai, but because his teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen was still watching, she didn't tear her face. After all, her status is now a child's mother. Cough, cough, cough. Cough twice on purpose. Sarutobi reminded the two present. Is it really good to study in such a large audience about having children? But it wasn't that he didn't get any news. First child. That means the kid just now wasn't Tsunade's own. Think about it. Considering the boy's age, if Bai is really his father, I'm afraid this guy didn't drive a big car at the age of 10, which is really shocking. As for the two of them, one child, one mother, one child, his father, it doesn't matter. As long as Tsunade and Uchiha Bai's relationship is good now. Huh. When did you come? Looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen pretending to be, Bai asked pretending to be surprised. The old man has been standing here for a long time. Co-authoring, didn't you see it? Sarutobi's face darkened, and he suppressed his anger and adjusted his Hokage hat. And what does it mean to call you directly without honorifics? Is this emphasizing his Hokage identity? Bai was noncommittal. Captain Bai, about what happened last night. Frowning, Sarutobi was displeased with Bai's attitude. He is Hokage. He is the only person in charge of this village. Even if you, Uchiha Bai, do have some strength and are the captain of the guard, you have to obey my arrangements. Why did he come? How did he come out here? Doesn't Uchiha Bai know that? With such a big thing happening last night, he was eager to get rid of his identity as an outsider and wanted to know some details. For example, Bai and Az played a riddle, and who was the person who besieged the courtyard of Uchiha Bai? Another example is what does it mean to kill a few people and catch a cat? He would love to know. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen was in a state of turmoil. There are too many things happening recently, too complicated, so that he has a feeling that he can't start. The messenger of Cloud Shinobi Village arrives, the guards arrest people, and now Hyuga Hiyashi kills the opponent's ninja with his own hands. He should have seized the opportunity to attack earlier. But now it is completely passive. This is not Sarutobi's way of doing things, he wants to take the lead. The guard will do their part and get this thing right without Hokage to worry about. Bai was very calm. The tone is even more outrageous. Tsunade next to him blinked in surprise. What this kid means by saying this is to tell you that this matter has nothing to do with you, so why don't you stay where it's cool? This Uchiha guard is different from what she remembered. Good boy. As expected of the child's father. Tsunade nodded in satisfaction. No wonder Bai agreed to her conditions directly when he brought her back. Although it is still unclear whether this man really has the ability to keep her from getting involved in the power struggle Uzumaki, but in short Bai's attitude towards third generation makes her very satisfied. Fight to death. If it wasn't for the person who didn't want to completely tear her face and lose the whole Konoha, she would have wanted to curse on the spot. Do you really think she's an idiot? Don't know the little actions of your teacher during the Second Ninja World War. She is the one who really endures for the village. In the original book, after World War II, Tsunade's attitude towards the third generation changed, and the third generation would never return to the village. Even if he knew that Sarutobi was killed by Orochimaru, he didn't have much emotional fluctuations. That's enough to explain the problem. As Hokage, I have a right to know what's going on. Third generation could naturally hear Bai's subtext, but how could he be willing to do so? With a chill in his eyes, he emphasized the word Hokage again, and the volume of his voice increased a lot. Ah yes yes yes. I know you are Hokage, and no one is robbing you. Why are you yelling so loudly? Bai Yi waved his hand disdainfully. Shouldn't third generation think that he has an idea for that position? Maybe, maybe not. But now he just wants to be the captain of his own guard in comfort, and whoever breaks the rules, he will clean up whoever. Hearing Bai Yi's words, Tsunade almost burst out laughing. As a teacher, he is really afraid that someone will steal his position, like a child fighting for a toy. Sometimes it is really naive. Third generation was in a hurry and seemed to want to justify something. But Bai Yi had already put away his smile and looked away, and Sarutobi's eyes narrowed at the dangerous aura he exuded at that moment. Don't let this captain say it a second time. See a visitor out. Who likes to talk nonsense with a politician? Anyway, Bai Yi isn't the kind of person who likes to be imaginary and arrogant. He has already said that the guards will handle this matter, that is, the guards will handle it, and no one can question it. Sarutobi was babbling nonsense, and he didn't mind letting the old boy lie out. The guards assembled the zipper and accidentally injured Hokage. Captain Bai Yi deeply regrets this. Close black lens bracket. Have a look. What a reasonable reason to start. Third generation's face was full of suffocation, and a burst of anger could not help extending out of his chest. But he was still holding back. Not for anything else. Just now, he was keenly aware of a dangerous aura. This reminded him of the scene that day, when Bai Yi was holding his shoulders and couldn't move. Take a deep breath, the old man needs to calm down. Can't do it. Do it, it will be miserable. To deal with an uncontrollable pawn like Uchiha Bai Yi, other means are needed. This is his intuitive feeling. He is old and mature, and his perception of danger is not weak. But when he was about to inhale, he saw Uchiha Kong approaching from a distance. His actions seemed to trigger Uchiha Satoshi's passive skill. Seeing Uchiha Satoshi's encouraging gaze, third generation abruptly suppressed the thought of taking a deep breath. His face was extremely red, and at this moment, he was obviously suffering from internal injuries. Flick your hand. With a cold snort, he turned to leave. Captain, look at his back, does he look like a lost dog? It's called a lost dog for short. He definitely thought I came here with a fart. Ha ha ha, he didn't even know that I just finished it next to Itachi. The clever Uchiha Satoshi let out a wild, deafening laugh. Sarutobi finally couldn't help it, spit out a mouthful of blood and fled the scene aggrieved. Today's defeat. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Chapter 27 The Unpredictable Man. Uchiha Bai Yi. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind, Bai Yi's name lingered. He is thinking how to erase this unsettling factor. But now he doesn't dare to act rashly. Even him. There are also times of hesitation. I dare not move, for two reasons. First, negotiations with Cloud Shinobi Village are still going on, and now that the news from Raikage has not come, he has to keep Bai Yi as the culprit. Yes. Now that Tsunade is back in the village, there is a backup for Hokage's place. He has to think about how to deal with being impeached again. Second, what was the power that made him extremely palpitated just now? As a person matures, Sarutobi's other abilities may have declined, but his perception is still not weak. That Ruo-Wu momentum made him horrified in an instant. What kind of strength is Uchiha Bai Yi now? If you want to kill him, how much power will it take? Will things be exposed? These are all things he needs to consider. Think as you walk. But when he came to the entrance of the Konoha police force, he narrowed his eyes and met a line of sight. When did you, the head of the Hyuga clan, come to the Uchiha Guard Corps on your own initiative? Or is it that the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan have an idea of friendship? He didn't think there was anything wrong with his choice last night. It's just that right now, if the Hyuga family gets too close to the Uchiha family, it's obviously not good news for Konoha executives. Hyuga never deliberately made friends with other ethnic groups. It won't be particularly distant either. Hyuga Hiyashi looked calm and spoke without leaking. Even if I'm here, it's just because this is Konoha's guards, and it has nothing to do with the Uchiha clan. He came to find Bai can develop the Hyuga family to what it is today. Every generation of Hyuga clan chiefs are not fools. After what happened last night, he thought about it all night and already understood what was going on. The Hyuga clan were treated as abandoned children. And it was chosen actively by third generation, and even wanted to take this opportunity to beat the Hyuga clan. Thinking of this question, Hyuga Hiyashi suddenly laughed. He also saw it thoroughly, and the more he felt cold, the more sad he became. Look at how much the Hyuga family has paid for the village since the establishment of Konoha. Bleeding and fighting hard on the battlefield are all things that should be done as a Konoha shinobi. But each generation of patriarchs in the Hyuga clan they lead are staunch supporters of Hokage. Even when the ancestor Hyuga Tianrin received an invitation from Uchiha Madara to plan something, the ancestor chose to refuse. Never engage in small groups, conscientiously pay for Konoha. Every time the war is because of the particularity of the blind eye, there will be meritorious deeds. Even the Hyuga clan like this can't be trusted by third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Should such a Hyuga clan be beaten? What's wrong with you? With a mood swing in his eyes, Hyuga Hiyashi stared at third generation. He wanted to ask this person, what did the Hyuga family do wrong? It just makes you look unpleasant. Hard to imagine. If Uchiha Bai didn't come with the guards last night, what will he, and his Hyuga clan, experience? Oppression. Threaten. Finally facing the pressure of Cloud Shinobi Village and even the top management of Konoha. By now, he wanted to laugh. Wasn't it because the eyes of the Hyuga clan allowed Konoha to take the lead in the battle with Cloud Shinobi Village many times, so he was targeted by Cloud Shinobi Village? But now you have chosen to abandon Hyuga. Then what's the point of them contributing to the village? Today, he came to the guards in an upright manner and thanked Uchiha Bai. As the patriarch, this represents the attitude of his Hyuga clan. He has been soft for so many years, and sometimes it is not impossible to be a little hard. Seems to be aware of Hyuga Hiyashi's dissatisfaction. The old politician squinted his eyes and put on a hypocritical smile instead. Hiyashi, you should know that what this old man did yesterday was for the sake of the village. You are also aware of the current situation of Konoha. If Cloud Shinobi Village is coerced by war, this old man has no other choice. So you sold it. Hyuga Hiyashi shook his head, not wanting to argue with third generation on this issue. Lord third generation is for the village, I understand very well. Then my subordinates are also for the village now, representing Hyuga and Captain Bai to form a friendship. I don't think Lord Hokage will stop me. Who wouldn't say nice things? No fart, no throat. After speaking, Hyuga Hiyashi had lost interest in talking to the third generation and strode into the headquarters of the Uchiha Guard force. Only the third generation was left in place, with a cold light in his eyes. You don't have much respect for Hokage. On the training ground, Bai was still basking in the sun. Tsunade next to her wrote that she was curious and asked Bai's thoughts. Bai asked back slowly. Some people are worthy of respect, others are not, and will never be. Glancing away, he saw Hyuga Hiyashi approaching from a distance. Hey, let's take that guy. Although I don't agree with the Hyuga family in terms of management, it's their family's chores, and I'm too lazy to say anything. But you have also seen that even the Hyuga clan, who are honest and do not fight for power and profit, will be distrusted and abandoned by that person in the end. This kind of person deserves my respect. No problem. Tsunade nodded in agreement. While speaking, Hyuga Hiyashi had already walked over and cupped Bai's hands. But Bai didn't shy away from the other party when he spoke, and he glanced at Tsunade's Sakura lips, who missed Yuhika's imported meatballs, and spoke again. Then you are looking at the guards. I dare to say that under my leadership, the guards have well maintained the stability of Konoha and ensured the safety of life and property of the villagers. Such a guard team is properly contributing to the village. He just doesn't look pleasing to the eye. If I don't kill him, who will he kill? That's that old boy who is smart, He resisted the provocation and didn't dare to grin. Otherwise, do you believe that I will let him go out sideways today? Bai Yi said as a matter of course. Tsunade and Hyuga Hiyashi looked at each other, the corners of their mouths twitching. Especially Hyuga Hiyashi. He really wanted to roll his eyes, but he would roll his eyes every day if he didn't do this, which looked very funny. Bai Yi dared to say something in person, he obviously didn't have the courage. But, taking a deep breath, Hyuga Hiyashi looked solemn. Then he bowed to Bai Yi. Captain Bai Yi, thank you for your righteous action yesterday. It's all right, don't make those fakes. Bai Yi waved his hand helplessly. If you have a heart to thank you, just pay more for the protection fee, and just put the bullshit in your stomach and wrap your small intestine around your large intestine, isn't it okay? The corner of Hyuga Hiyashi's mouth twitched, and his spellcasting was interrupted. The curiosity on Tsunade's face next to him remained undiminished. What an unpredictable man. Chapter 28 Uzumaki Kushina, My Bed Warming Girl. Konoha. Hokage Building. Inside the office. Sarutobi Hiruzen lit his cigarette and stood by the window with narrowed eyes, looking out at the village. A string of recent events has lowered his prestige. From the arrest of the father and son of the Hokage advisor, to the death of the messenger in the Cloud Shinobi village in the Hyuga clan. Even if the specific details are not known, it still arouses the dissatisfaction of some people. You have to find a way to increase your prestige. Touching his chin, Sarutobi fell into thought. The second son can no longer be used, and Asuma, whose character has not been honed yet, can't help himself, so it would be nice not to cause trouble. However, there is good news from the eldest son recently. Yes. He has a grandson. The name is his own. To show his reputation for loving the village, he named it Sarutobi Konohamaru. Obviously. Compared with his second son, his eldest son, Sarutobi Shinosuke, knew exactly what jade he was talking about, and immediately began to create people. This made him very happy. But this is gratifying. When he saw a figure appear in the office, it disappeared directly. With a gloomy expression on his face, third generation sat down on the chair and stared straight ahead. It was a familiar figure. As Sarutobi's right-hand man, if it wasn't for the strong alliance between third generation and the other party, how could Konoha decline to this extent in such a short period of time? Shimura Danzo, here he comes. With confident steps, he opened his mouth with a mocking smile. Ape. It's a pity that he was interrupted to cast a spell just after he spat out a word. Danzo, I am Hokage. Sitting up in shock, Sarutobi slapped the desk angrily and roared. Danzo. When I put a question mark, it does not mean that I have a problem, but you have a problem. Danzo was obviously stunned by the roar. Why doesn't your old buddy play cards according to the routine? In the past, didn't he speak first, then Sarutobi objected, then he spoke again, and finally Sarutobi was emphasizing that he was Hokage's. What's wrong with today? Danzo's face was uncertain. Really? He's here to make fun of him today. He already knew what happened in the village. What makes Danzo extremely contemptible is that the other party can't even handle a mere security team. This made Danzo laugh brightly behind his back. Certainly. If it wasn't for Tsunade's return, he would have been hiding in the dark, wanting Sarutobi Hiruzen to be embarrassed. Pity. Now Tsunade is back. He had to think about that too. Even if Sarutobi is forced out, will he be able to play Hokage's position? Apparently it took some effort. Union is a must. But he didn't want to take out all his cards. Coming here today is just a simple ridicule, it will make him very happy. Sarutobi, I know you're Hokage. Take a deep breath, as the person who came to provoke, must not be led by the nose. Then why didn't you knock on the door when you came in? Danzo is stupid. Could this be AF G reason for you to stress that you're Hokage? What kind of stimulation did this old boy get today? Sarutobi. You will regret it. The aggrieved Danzo plans to call Jin to withdraw his troops. But he said that this regret is by no means groundless. Originally, he planned to make a mockery today, and then see how the other party's attitude was. If it could make him feel comfortable and satisfied, he would also reveal a little bit of information. For example, Raikage of Cloud Shinobi Village has now heard the news of Konoha, and is furious at the moment. If nothing else, Raikage will come to Konoha in person soon. For another example, the team that attacked the Uchiha Bai Manor had something amazing. But now the performance of the other party makes him very dissatisfied. Share information with you. Ha ha. Go dream. If Bai Yi saw this scene, he would probably applaud and slap him on the spot. Have to say, these two are definitely a perfect match. Why are they worried that the leaves will not die? Flick your hand. Danzo also lost his sarcasm and no desire to cooperate with Sarutobi. Since you don't want benefits, I'll do it myself. Close the door. Watching Danzo walk out of the office, Sarutobi's originally uneasy breath was finally smoothed out. But he still didn't forget to sit in Hokage's chair and give orders. Even a simple closing action means that he is Hokage, and Danzo is nothing more than his insignificant pawn. Humph. Will be at the door. Your order is not acceptable. Close the door and do it yourself. Danzo, who was standing in the doorway, trembled, then sneered, leaving a sentence and left. Obviously. Danzo, who is half-baked, does not have the essence of Oriental culture from Master. You don't think that I brought people over yesterday to gain the favor of your Hyuga family, so that you can support me in doing certain things? Near noon. Uchiha clan. Inside Bai Yi's mansion. Enjoying what Kushina brought to his mouth, someone looked suspiciously at Hyuga Hiyashi, who came along, but hesitant. Is not it? Hyuga Hiyashi was stunned. How can anyone spend a lot of time without purpose? Why do I think you are familiar? The beautiful eyes next to her moved slightly and looked at Kushina, who was disguised in confusion. Kushina was a little embarrassed. After all, she didn't want to hide her identity from Tsunade. The reason is that the relationship between the two is actually very good. When she first came to Konoha when she was a child, she also received a lot of care from Tsunade. After all, at that time, she lived in the clan of the Senju family and was with Uzumaki Mito. Oh, I forgot to introduce. Uzumaki Kushina, former Nine Tails Jinchuriki, is now my bed warmer. Bai Yi scratched his head, not paying any attention to Tsunade and Hyuga Hiyashi's wide eyes and wide mouths. Kushina opened her mouth, then blushed and didn't know what to say. Since it can be brought to the manor by Bai Yi, it should be trusted, right? She didn't mind Bai Yi revealing her identity, but that bed-warming girl was a bit blatant. Hyuga Hiyashi was stunned with cold sweat on his back. He held up a glass of wine tremblingly, and then drank it. At that moment just now, he thought about a lot, as if the whole person had also experienced a lot of vicissitudes. The woman in front of me is Hokage's wife. It does not matter. Most importantly, she is the biological mother of the current Jinchuriki. After a long while of drinking, he finally regained his senses. Bai Yi. As the head of the Hyuga family, I can't change the ancestral motto, which violates the Hyuga family's purpose of allegiance to Konoha. But all I can say is, after taking a sip of wine again, Hyuga Hiyashi clenched his fists, as if making great determination. If you rebel, I won't let the Hyuga clan attack you. This is the best I can do. Chapter 29 The Better Tsunade. Konoha. The clan of the Uchiha clan. Inside Bai Yi's mansion. When Hyuga Hiyashi mentioned the word rebellion, Tsunade and Kushina also recovered from their shock and looked over. And Bai Yi, after being silent, looked at Hyuga Hiyashi with a weird face. He really admires Hyuga Hiyashi's brain circuit. Rebel. What drove him to think of this link? Uchiha does have the idea of rebellion. But does that have anything to do with him? And does he really care who is sitting in the Hokage seat? The strong will never limit their sight to a village. Uchiha Madara is like that. In a way, Madara was indeed used by Black Zetsu. But his idea was right after all. Protecting the stability of a village in Konoha in a mere way is a peaceful road. And this is the brief piece brought by Senju Hashirama's kowtow at the Five Shadows talks. The chips are the lifespan of Senju Hashirama. This can never be called peace. So even if he was used, he jumped out of a village circle and set his sights on the ninja world. God of Ninja didn't do that. Bai Yi. However, it has gone a step further from the ninja world. With the powerful advantages brought by the system, his eyes have been set outside the ninja world. Chief Hiyashi. For a long time, Bai Yi looked at each other with strange eyes. I think you may have misunderstood. I said before that the people I brought the guards over didn't have a special idea. There is no such thing as an alliance. After taking a sip of wine calmly, Bai Yi sighed slightly. Even if you and the third generation are fighting for power and profit, I don't bother to participate. I brought people over just for the sake of my duty as the captain of the guard. This is the truth. Ali. That is an option only under the condition of equal strength. With the strength of the Hyuga clan, it's almost as if to seek asylum. He Uchiha Bai Yi. It is not the kind of person who rushes to seek cooperation from the other party and seek the other party's goodwill. Shots are the rules of the guard. This is his rule, he is the rule maker and maintainer, and he should lead by example. Don't talk yin and yang, people are also kind. Tsunade flipped over with Shirogane, grinning angrily and helping to smooth things out. She was afraid that Hyuga Hiyashi would not be able to get off the stage. Didn't you see that embarrassing expression on their face? This man really doesn't pay attention to the atmosphere. I'm just telling the truth. Bai Yi shrugged, looking indifferent. How can these two people have a sense of sight of old husband and wife? The corner of Hyuga Hiyashi's mouth twitched, and he respected Bai Yi even more in his heart. There are not many people who really seek benefits for the village and dare to maintain the stability of the village. Uchiha Bai Yi counts as one. The cooperation or something was interrupted by Bai Yi's words. But Hyuga Hiyashi is clearly not an ungrateful person. In the original book, because of his younger brother's death, he was full of guilt, but as the patriarch of the clan, he could only obey Hokage's arrangements for the continuation of the clan's blood. You could say he was cowardly and didn't dare to resist. But his nature is not bad, and he is ruthless enough for Zhu Xuan. He thought about it, and finally came up with an idea. The behavior of the guards is admirable. Highly rated by Hyuga Hiyashi. I heard that Captain Bai Yi is recruiting non-staff members recently. Except for the Uchiha clan, there are also other ethnic groups in the guard. In this way, if there is a lack of manpower for investigation, my Hyuga family will never refuse. And when the little girl graduates from the ninja school, I implore Captain Bai Yi to let her join the guards for some training. The alliance and cooperation thing is interrupted. But Hyuga Hiyashi, once again showed his attitude. In any case, Bai Yi's act of righteousness yesterday has been recognized by him. He will remember this kindness. Put Hinata in the guard. Bai Yi was shocked. Even Kushina next to him was shocked. Do you know what you are doing? Kushina looked at Hyuga Hiyashi with a complicated look. Didn't this push her daughter into the pit? As a visitor, she hoped that Hinata would not come. After all, the strength of a gentle scum should not be underestimated. Definitely no problem. Bai Yi thought for a while, then smiled and became the other party's favor. But at this time there is nothing wrong. Well, Hinata. Yesterday he saw it in the Hyuga clan's clan. He's only 3 years old, even if he is a beast, he can't do it right now. Being human still requires a bottom line. Bai Yi agreed with this, but when he was about to add something, he suddenly blinked. All along, he has had a problem. Especially after he captured Samui, this question made him even more curious. And just now, when Tsunade stretched out his hand to pick vegetables next to him, after he glanced along, his strong thirst for knowledge intensified. Taking a deep breath, Bai Yi snapped his fingers. It seemed that the entire space shook. A strange twisted space slowly appeared. After a few seconds, the space door was firmly formed. 2 women who were tied up with 5 flowers were thrown out. The power of space. One of the many abilities he has acquired. I'm in a hurry at the moment, so I'm too lazy to go to the basement to catch people out myself. These two. Tsunade frowned, seemingly puzzled. Oh, this is the representative of the Cloud Shinobi Village's messenger group, named Samui, who violated the regulations and was arrested by me. Bai Yi said lightly. Tsunade came back yesterday. So obviously don't know what happened before. She opened her mouth and finally fell silent. You were so awesome that you didn't spit it out. Well, this little tabby cat with a face full of dissatisfaction is called Airyu Wooden Golem. Futao Jinchuriki from Cloud Shinobi Village is here. Bai Yi calmly introduced their identities, then he didn't care about the shock of Tsunade and Hyuga Hiyashi, and placed Tsunade and Samui together, standing side by side. The two were about the same size, and they have their own strengths and qualities when they stand together. Well, let's retire first. The sensible Hyuga Hiyashi seemed to know what the male compatriot was thinking, and quickly retreated. What qualifications does he have to be here? Bai Yi admired Hyuga Hiyashi's behavior. Then he didn't go to see her. Instead, he set his eyes on the places where Tsunade and Samui were extremely proud, and then he gestured with his hands in the air. Even using Sharingan. Water droplets. Sure enough, you are better than Tsunade. Chapter 30 In the name of Konoha Guard Captain. Uchiha Tribe. Inside Bai Yi's manor. When a gentle joke came from a scumbag. Tsunade Haim was instantly furious. She didn't expect this man to let himself stand here to compare this thing. Her rage had no effect. That pitiful combat power was completely incomprehensible in front of Bai Yi. Bai Yi was very playful and ran in circles in the courtyard, while Tsunade chased after him. What kind of man is this? Far away. Kushina looked complicated and felt a little emotional in her heart. There are the two next to her who were in the same mood. Samui and the two were kept silent by Wooden Golem, even thinking about what would happen to them since they were caught. But let alone encounter it, it will not happen in the future. Bai Yi just locked them up and didn't bother to care. When the ninja world is locked up, it encounters companions, and it is taboo to communicate with each other. Because you don't know whether the information you say casually will affect your village. So even though Wooden Golem and Samui were locked up together, they didn't talk much. But until now, seeing the man playing in the courtyard, they didn't know what to do for a while. When he starts, he is sharp-edged, as dazzling as the center of the world. No matter who the opponent is, he will not show mercy. That cruelty is moving. Until now, Wooden Golem still remembers the scene where his companion Ben was abruptly blown up. In normal times, this man loves his life very much, and the way he enjoys it does not have that terrifying aura at all. Even when he was playing with Kushina, he could make some innocuous jokes. As it is now, Bai Yi could clearly kill Tsunade with one punch, but he let the woman press on him, showing a gentle smile. Hard to imagine. This is the powerful existence when I started last night. By now, after seeing the terrifying strength, they have given up the idea of running away. It's not that I don't want to, it's that I can't. Especially after experiencing the power of space that was teleported just now, that thought disappeared. Joke. A thought controls their life and death, how can such a powerful existence resist? Remain silent and await the judgment of the other party. It's the only thing they can do. Why? I have never heard of his existence in Konoha before. Voiced by Wooden Golem Horse. The look of disapproval on her face was aimed only at Kushina. So on the day she was detained, she dismissed the water that Kushina sent. But she also knew that when facing the adamantine sealing chains of the Uzumaki family, being a Jinchuriki would most likely not be an opponent. This question apparently Samui also wanted to know. This problem. Kushina thought for a moment and smiled at Wooden Golem. It may be that she used to be the same Jinchuriki as you Wooden Golem, so even if the captive treated her in a normal way, she didn't care too much. Essentially, Kushina is so kind. He went to the battlefield, but it is estimated that everyone who saw him shot died. After all, according to Bai Yi's own words, kill all the witnesses, and there will be no witnesses. What a powerful reason. Wooden Golem and Samui looked at each other and smiled bitterly. If you let them know that Konoha has this number, they will not provoke each other. But I think he's still very easy to get along with. Kushina blinked and said mischievously, As long as he obeys his rules, he won't do anything random within the rules. After all, he made the rules himself. I guess, the reason why you two were arrested was to challenge the regulations of the Konoha Guard. Rules. Samui sighed bitterly. Not enough information. After all, this wave was Lord Raikage's miscalculation. By Wooden Golem's eyes twinkling, she was more concerned about another thing than this question. As far as I know, you are the last Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Only members of the Uzumaki clan can use adamantine sealing chains, and there is only one eligible person, Uzumaki Kushina. Although you still have some left on your body, it is called chakra, but 9 tails are not in your body. So, can you please tell me how you survived? Kushina didn't answer her question, but raised her chin towards Bai Yi. Does it really have anything to do with this man? Silenced by Wooden Golem. It's not that she wants to leave her way. She has already gotten along with her way quite tacitly for so many years. It's no exaggeration to say that she is a perfect Jinchuriki, and now she can even become a master tail beast. Even control the power of life and death. Shaked his head by Wooden Golem. Why does such a powerful man belong to Konoha? Inexplicable. She was a little jealous of the village. In her opinion, this kind of powerful existence is more suitable to stay in the Cloud Shinobi village of the martial arts faction. Cloud Shinobi village worships the strong. If Uchiha Bai Yi appeared in Cloud Shinobi village, he would never succumb to the position of a guard captain. Even if it is to become Raikage, no one will object. Compared with Konoha's intrigue, Cloud Shinobi village is much simpler. You have a hard fist. If you want to be Raikage, there is a chance. It's just that she doesn't know. The reason why Bai Yi became the captain of the guards was just the task of the scrap system, and making rules was just to make himself comfortable and to enjoy life by the way. Suddenly, Bai Yi, who was beaten by Tsunade on the ground, paused for a moment, and then pressed the opponent's backhand to the ground for a moment, squinting his eyes and looking towards the village entrance. This pose. Gee. Are you still attacking Tsunade-sama? Kushina pouted. From her side, the two were sticking together in a zigzag that Kushina and Bai Yi often used. Stop when you say stop. Tsunade refused to accept it and kept twisting. But Bai Yi just glanced at her, and she honestly stopped struggling. The playful look of the past disappeared, replaced by the domineering and fierce. There are guests here. Bai Yi let out a laugh, got up from Tsunade, and the rear wheel rim punched the air next to him. The space was distorted, and a space crack visible to the naked eye appeared in front of him. A blue chakra shield wrapped Bai Yi inside, and he strode into the crack. Konoha. The entrance to the village. At this moment, the two teams are confronting each other. Outside the entrance, a muscular man wearing a cape was full of anger, and lightning sparks flashed from time to time. Lightning-style chakra mode. And in the village, the members of the third team headed by Uchiha Satoshi were not at all timid, but did not step back in front of the opponent. You don't fix this table today. Don't even think about stepping into Konoha. Raikage of the dignified Cloud Shinobi village, can't even come up with this amount of money. Uchiha Satoshi spoke proudly. With his signature yin and yang tone, the mocking effect is directly full. What if the old man insists on coming in? Like a powder keg, the furious Raikage was ignited directly, and his body was full of thunder. God knows how much effort he spent to get to Konoha as quickly as possible. As soon as you walk in, this is it. He just had a bad attitude, he couldn't control his strength a little bit, and he also had the idea of giving Konoha's power, so he smashed a table while talking to the door god. What the hell is going to the police for this? This Konoha shinobi who seems to be a police officer is extremely arrogant to make him lose money. Who gave you the courage? Come on, duck neck. He was ignited by anger and jumped into the air in an instant, then raised his right leg from top to bottom, and smashed Uchiha Kong ruthlessly. Ray-Eye Bomb. He turned sharply into Nirvana, as if a thunderous blow was about to hit Uchiha Satoshi's head. Even with a habit of pretending, Uchiha Satoshi, who was habitually slapped in the face, was stunned for a moment. It seemed death was imminent. The three-hook jade in Uchiha Satoshi's pupil spun rapidly. But it seems that it is just a little bit worse and can't go further. The expected explosion sounded. The impact force of smashing into the air with lightning style makes the smoke and dust rush away to the entrance of Konoha in an instant. A long time. When the smoke clears, Konoha's ninjas looked over in shock and anger. At the same time, the Cloud Shinobi village ninjas who came with Raikage even made preparations. But when they looked over, they found a scene that shocked the Cloud Shinobi village ninjas. A tall man, standing in front of Uchiha Satoshi. He has a handsome face, like a person walking out of a painting. At this time, he was wearing the cloak of justice, because the scattered smoke caused the cloak to move with the wind. Team leader. Uchiha Kong sobbed. He seemed to be the one who always caused trouble for the captain. And the captain is always the one standing in front of them. A tear of blood fell from the corner of Uchiha Satoshi's eye. The three-hook jade is broken, and the new Mangekyo represents the meaning of his existence. At this moment, he realized. A voice woke everyone present. They stared at the man with one hand covering Raikage's right leg. No one can break my rules without paying the price. Shadow, it doesn't work either. In the name of Konoha Guard Captain. Chapter 31 The Ultimate Power of the Uchiha Family. A certain charismatic villain once explained about the rules. He said the rules were there to protect the weak. It's okay to say it, but it's not comprehensive. But for Bai Yi, the series of rules and regulations he made were not all used to ensure his quality of life. It's just a small thing. Maintain order and stability, and be a qualified captain of the guards conscientiously. Under such a premise, no one can challenge his absolute authority. Konoha. Village entrance. When Bai Yi's self-confidence and indifferent words spread to everyone's ears. People have different expressions. The ninjas of Cloud Shinobi village looked heavy, but a certain disdain flashed in their eyes. They thought that this handsome man would say something appalling. But he never thought that this was just a Konoha guard captain. Make such a big scene. Konoha's third Hokage hasn't come out to greet him yet. Only Raikage looked different. At this moment, Ai's face was gloomy and uncertain. Nothing else. He was caught by one foot, and now he is still in the air. Strange things happened like this. The impact of Lei's bomb was extremely exaggerated, but the man was not affected in any way. Besides, even the ground under the captain's feet has no tendency to sink. Obvious. His move just now, when used on this man, only stirred up a little dust on the ground. The lightning-style chakra mode is still going on when the thunder and lightning are staggered on the body. When someone grabbed his ankle, Raikage didn't look good. Lightning-style armor. Full mode. When the thunder on his body became louder, it seemed that even Ijo's energy was affected and began to become irritable. If Killer Bee was by his side at this moment, he would definitely recognize that his eldest brother had entered the runaway mode. It's so noisy. Bai Yi looked indifferent. Even if the lightning-style chakra mode's eye was fully fired, he still grabbed each other's feet bare. Even the energy emanating from Raikage's body had no effect on him at all. Suddenly, his hands are starting to work hard. Immediately afterwards, in the horrified eyes of everyone, Raikage's ankle began to deform visibly. Gaba. Raikage's face was twisted and he endured the pain without screaming. He wanted to struggle with his hand like iron tongs, but he couldn't do it anyway. The crisp cracking sound caused strong discomfort in everyone, and they couldn't help but feel numb in their scalps. Uchiha Bai Yi crushed Raikage's bones abruptly. How can that be? A certain Cloud Shinobi village ninja exclaimed. No one understands the power of Raikage better than them. Especially when Raikage turned on the lightning-style armor, that terrifying defense. It's not an exaggeration to call him a human-tailed beast. Before Bai Yi was able to pinch each other's ankles without being affected by lightning style, they had surprised them. And now, can he ignore lightning style's defense and directly damage the body? Even if he can ignore lightning style, with Lord Raikage's physical fitness, how could he be crushed so easily? The horrified ninjas were full of disbelief. Their mighty Raikage shattered their proud defenses in front of this Konoha guard captain. That's just a district guard captain. Is your focus so strange? Soldier to soldier, king to king. The members of the Konoha Guard had already surrounded him. The third squad leader, Uchiha Satoshi, glared ahead with a strange pattern in his eyes. Sharingan. The eye of the soul. When what the heart desires is materialized, it breaks the limit of Sangoryu. Here comes the new Mangekyo. Pretending again and again, getting slapped in the face again and again. Uchiha Satoshi longed for the captain's approval. He is not willing to be that dragging existence, nor does he want to live by flattery in the future. When the tall figure stood in front of him, Uchiha was enlightened. The Uchiha family has never lacked genius. And open eyes. Requires strong stimulation. Nearly dying, if that wasn't enough excitement, it only proves that Uchiha Satoshi is only a man of this level. A low cry came. Pupilism. Please God. When Mangekyo is spinning fast. There was an exclamation from the crowd. It seems that the bloodline traction of the same clan is somehow sensed. Bai Yi, who was feeling that Reikage's endurance was so strong, slowly raised his head. This is Yu Uchiha Satoshi's new pupil technique. Bai Yi's mouth twitched and rolled his eyes. Then he pondered for a moment and whispered, "Shoo." In an instant, Uchiha Satoshi's Mangekyo notification spin. The power that was less than a few % of Bai Yi emerged, causing Uchiha Satoshi's hair to stand upside down, just as powerful as a Super Saiyan. Feel the strength of the captain. Look straight at me, cub. Scarlet eyes. Obviously, with his physical fitness, this state won't last long. He knew this himself. Rounding his fists like a red beast opening the 8th gate of 8 inner gates, Uchiha Satoshi rushed to the ninjas of Cloud Shinobi Village who accompanied Reikage to the crowd in amazement. In an instant, weeping everywhere. A few % of Bai Yi's power is not too strong. But if you add those special attributes, such as physical skill increase, strength increase and so on together. Even a short, "Please ask God to get up," can give Uchiha Satoshi powerful power. At least it's more than enough to deal with these elite jonins. But why is your pupil technique so evil? Bai Yi looked at Uchiha Satoshi, who had big hair in Kamui, with a tangled face. He doubted whether he had crossed the wrong way. What about Amaterasu? What about Kamui? Either way, Tsukuyomi and Flame Control are fine. What kind of pupil art are you? Please go to God, reproduce a trace of power, and ask Laozi for consent. That is to say, I don't agree with you that Mangekyo opened up a loneliness. To some extent. If Bai Yi thought about it, his little brother might have opened the strongest eyes in the entire ninja world other than himself. As expected of you. The captain's most loyal horse boy. Overall, Bai Yi is still very relieved, and I just hope this person doesn't go blind early. Dare to be distracted by fighting with the old man. Ankle was crushed. I regained control of his body. As a man who can break his own arm for the mere Amaterasu, his ankle is broken. The battle continues. Lateral bolt of pain. Chop. Chio offended you. Gotta make people dance. Bai Yi rolled his eyes. A hand knife that slashed Li Guang smashed into Bai Yi's face at a terrifying speed. This is his strongest single blow. The most terrifying move except the lariat used in conjunction with Killer Bee. He used this trick to cut off a horn of 8 tails with his own hands. Reikage believes that even if the young man in front of him is really strong, he can't resist. Just a pity. Bai Yi really lost his mind. But not completely distracted. In other words, the distraction is because the opponent is not worthy of his seriousness. After all, his attention was turned to Uchiha Satoshi, and he was studying the chakra direction of Uchiha Satoshi's whole body at this moment. But when Reikage's hand knife is about to arrive, noisy, blah blah blah, stand in front of you with one hand. Bai Yi grabbed Reikage's wrist lightly, and then slammed it in the opposite direction. Not waiting for fourth Reikage to let out a wail of pain. Bai Yi has a new movement, and his body moves forward. His fist was aimed at Reikage's only remaining hand and foot. Gaba. Gaba. A fight. Reikage's limbs are crippled. He humbly faced Reikage, who was curled up on the ground, his face full of horror. By the way, he stretched out his finger to Uchiha Satoshi. Please be quiet. Don't bother me to learn the ultimate power of the Uchiha clan. Chapter 32 Sarutobi. The advantage is mine. Fire Country. Konoha. At this time, the entrance of Konoha's village seemed to be chaotic, but there was an inexplicable order inside. Baiyi crossed his arms and stepped on Raikage's head with one foot, looking forward with great interest. There, Uchiha Satoshi Dafa Kamui's revival of ninjas at Cloud Shinobi Village is raging. The entire village entrance has now become a battlefield. The members of the third squad of the guard team cleaned up the bodies in an orderly manner. And the ninjas on the Konoha side, and the Konoha village residents, looked at Baiyi with flickering eyes, wondering what they were thinking. Perhaps in the eyes of the ninjas, this was a show of muscle by the guards. What I want to do is nothing but the word pretend. Uchiha Baiyi, is this a disguised demonstration to Hokage? And what impact will his beating on Raikage have on the village? Will Hokage get angry and dismiss Uchiha Baiyi? Will a war break out between the two villages because of Baiyi's actions? These are the issues they consider from the perspective of ninjas. But the villagers are not so fancy. They only believed in their own eyes, and they only saw that at the beginning, the majestic man like a big old and rude began to show off his power. Really destroying Konoha's public property. Well, if that table counts as public property. Destroying public property is obviously a first violation of Konoha's management regulations. So the members of the Konoha guard came to take care of it. And that thug dared to openly resist. Also trying to attack the police. Therefore, Raikage, who is now lying on the ground, seems to the villagers to be fully deserved. The captain of the guard is too much. Obviously not too much. It was the first hand of the old man who wanted to rush directly into the village to destroy it. What they thought was, if Baiyi didn't take action today, would they be attacked by gangsters? They even thought that Baiyi played well. Play the majesty of Konoha. Konoha, but the number one ninja village in the ninja world, can't tolerate others' provocation. Footsteps approached. People looked back. I saw their beloved third Hokage, rushing towards him, surrounded by his subordinates. Obviously, third generation has received news and learned what happened here. Raikage actually came to Konoha in person. Why didn't he get the news in advance? Which part is the problem? Third generation was stunned. Instead, Danzo next to him let out a sneer. He knew the news of Raikage's personal arrival. I also wanted to report to my old partner before, so I went to the Hokage office. Such a pity. Sarutobi saw that he was not pleasing to the eye, so he scolded him directly. Deserved. With his vision, he never accepted Sarutobi's Hokage. But, when people look at it, Danzo and Sarutobi are once again confused and bewildered. Who is that terrifying man who is ravaging the Cloud Shinobi Village ninja defense line and can knock people flying with one punch? Is that Uchiha Satoshi? Third generation's eyes are good, and he looked over in shock when he came back to his senses. First, he glanced at Raikage, who was in great pain on the ground, and then at the man who was so proud. Oh my god! Is Uchiha Satoshi so strong? For a moment, third generation's eyes flickered, as if there was some consideration. And Danzo squinted his eyes, as if he had discovered a curious target. The last punch is done. Uchiha Satoshi shook his hand proudly. That arrogant look is really a bit rude. Posing, but he didn't forget to pretend. Those who violate my guards will be punished even if they are far away. Unfortunately. When he finished speaking, the mangekyo in his pupils had dissipated, and then the weakness that had lost his strength struck. As if a beginner forcibly opened 8 inner gates, he rolled his eyes and fainted. Handsome but 3 seconds awe. Baiyi pouted. It seems that Uchiha Satoshi's new pupil technique has great drawbacks. If you want to truly please God, even if it reaches the level of 1%, you have to work hard to exercise your body. Otherwise, waiting for him to become more proficient in this pupil technique, after releasing it, it might be more serious than 8 gates sequelae. Take it away alive and close the team. Wave. Bai Yi lost interest and looked at the blue sky above his head. The man showed a gentle smile. The bad guys who broke the rules were stopped, and the property safety of the villagers was maintained. The captain of the guard was clearly in a good mood. Today is another day of peace. Really peaceful. Sarutobi Hiruzen's old face is gloomy, and he has even lost the idea of disguising. Step by step, he walked in front of Bai Yi, angry like him, and let out his own roar. Uchiha Bai Yi. Do you know what you did? What are you doing so loudly? It's so noisy. Snapped. Bai Yi's hand was on Sarutobi's head again. The meaning is obvious. If you force Lili to increase the volume, I will crush your head. Cough, the old man means. Sarutobi's face was full of grief, and he didn't know if it was shivering or because of anger. His body was shaking. But even so, he was afraid of the hand on his head, and the volume unconsciously decreased a lot. What the old man means is that he is Raikage. Raikage came here on behalf of Cloud Shinobi Village to conclude a peace pact with Konoha. As Konoha's guard captain, you treated him like this. Gritting his teeth, he looked at Bai Yi, but obviously, Sarutobi's confidence grew stronger and stronger. Do you know the consequences of what you do? Even if you threaten the old man with this hand, the old man will not compromise. Today, you have to give the village an explanation. What should you do if there is a war? The villagers suddenly woke up, and then one by one, their faces were sad. Yes. That's Raikage. Beat Raikage and killed so many ninjas in Cloud Shinobi Village. What if war breaks out? They obviously didn't think about this layer just now. But now that Hokage-sama has said so, is it possible that Konoha will suffer another disaster because of this move? Can't beat it. Konoha really can't beat it. The Third Ninja War has hollowed out Konoha's heritage, and the quality of life of the villagers has also declined a lot. After all, war requires money. Where does the money come from? The villagers have to bear a small part anyway. And the question of money is not the main thing. The main ninja. They don't want their relatives to leave anymore. When the shadow of war shrouded Konoha, many villagers shed tears. But they couldn't blame Bai Yi for that. After all, if Raikage rushed in just now, no one knew what the consequences would be. Really. Take advantage of people's hearts and put pressure on them. Even if Uchiha Bai Yi is strong, he has to be dumb to eat Wanglian. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled slightly. On the methods of Yin people. The old man has been immersed in high-level positions for decades. You Uchiha Bai Yi are no match for this old man at all. The advantage is mine. Everything is under control. But don't know why. Sarutobi didn't see any panic on Bai Yi's face. Even, what does that contempt look at the demented old man with compassionate eyes mean? Third generation frowned. It was incomprehensible. Chapter 33. The more detail the better. Village entrance. The standoff continues. Third generation obviously didn't panic because of Bai Yi's contempt. He even glanced back and chose to continue with his plan. Mitokado Homura, who came with the third generation, grinned and stepped out. Since his Hokage advisor was caught in jail, his status in Konoha has plummeted. He was suppressed by the top. In addition to this, his confession was handed to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Obviously because of those shameful things, he paid a great price to calm down. Now his position has finally stabilized. But in any case, the hatred between Mitokado Homura and Uchiha Bai Yi has been forged. Uchiha Bai Yi. Because of your own selfish interests, the village was plunged into war. Committing such a crime, even you are not qualified to continue to be the captain of the guard. It was waiting here. Bai Yi suddenly realized. No wonder the aggressive third generation is so tough. Do you think that as long as you force him down from the position of the captain of the guard, you can easily deal with yourself? What a weird brain circuit. Bai Yi really didn't know what to say. Is it according to third generation's idea that he can be arbitrarily manipulated when he is not the captain of the guard? Sorry. He is so strong, not because the guards are his confidence. On the contrary, the guards acted like this because of the existence of his captain. No matter where Bai Yi is, as long as he wants to, he he will be the most dazzling one. That's right, as a Hokage advisor, I also think that Uchiha Baiyi should step down as the captain of the guard and be responsible for the coming war. Maybe it was some deviation from Baiyi's crossing. Uchiha Kaharu, who is also a consultant to Hokage, actually has an affair with Mitokado Homura in private. The two have families, but according to the information controlled by Baiyi, the relationship between Uchiha Kaharu and Mitokado Homura has gone beyond ordinary colleagues. This can be seen from the fact that every time Mitokado Homura has a discount with Uchiha Kaharu, he will pretend to go to the drugstore to buy a strong pill. Yes. The underground lover had already begun to impeach Baiyi, and Uchiha Kaharu naturally did his part, and followed suit. Impeachment begins. In this atmosphere, even the surrounding ninjas and villagers frowned, not knowing who was right and who was wrong. They neither wanted to see Baiyi's accident, nor did they want to face the war. How is this situation good? Pity. Regarding their impeachment, Baiyi was still very calm. His hand was already on Hokage's head disrespectfully, and then, bang bang. Then he patted it without hesitation. It's probably filled with water. Baiyi let out a laugh, his sarcasm beyond words. What do you mean? Sarutobi Hiruzen had a gloomy old face, and wanted to go up and slap Uchiha Baiyi, so that he could understand the meaning of honor and inferiority. But he dared not. The hand that was playing with his hairstyle wantonly on his head seemed to be pinching his life. He was really worried that this man would be angry and hurt others, but he was obviously not a vegetarian himself, so it was amazing to die together. The forbidden technique of being a ghoul seal, he didn't want to change one by one unless it was very necessary. But that doesn't mean he's easy to bully. But what reassured him so far was that there was no anger on Baiyi's face. Some are just mocking. I don't want to explain this question, someone will tell you the answer. Baiyi suddenly withdrew his hand, and a cold voice entered everyone's ears. Can someone explain? Third generation's frown tightened. It's just that before he could express his own question, a loud shout came again. Uchiha Itachi. What would be more embarrassing than being betrayed by one's own people and being slapped in the face by someone who was sent to undercover in the enemy camp? Baiyi is too lazy to talk nonsense with Sarutobi Hiruzen. But today, this matter still has to be explained. Not an account of Hokage, but the suspicious eyes around him. And Raikage, who had passed out at his feet. Calling me. Itachi daringly walked out, looking at Uchiha Baiyi with a heavy and complicated expression. What does Captain mean? He was vaguely guessing, and suddenly had a bad premonition. It's often said that you can think in Hokage's terms when you're young. Baiyi opened his mouth slowly. Then let me ask you, after what Lord Third Generation just said, how do you feel? Tell me, the more detailed you are, the better. If you say it well, I will promote you to be the deputy sub-commander of the 3rd Squad. Do you have this office? Uchiha Kong, who was lying on the ground recovering his strength, was stunned. All small teams. And the sub-captain. Unfortunately. Satoshi Uchiha knew this, and so did most of the members of the Konoha Guard. But the undercover Itachi and 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen don't know. What the FK? Opportunity for promotion. Does this mean that Itachi can go further into the enemy's interior? Third Generation's face was full of excitement, and he kept pointing to Itachi. The meaning is obvious. Say. The more detailed you are, the better. And Itachi sighed deeply. Lord Hokage. This wave of you has really been crushed by people. But he can't. The current situation is here. The captain asked him to go into detail. Hokage also made him want to elaborate. As an undercover agent who obeys orders, a ninja with little ethics. He could only nod his head. Lord Hokage. With a solemn expression, Itachi looked at 3rd Generation. You don't need to worry about the war you mentioned. You even say that it doesn't exist at all, it's just unfounded worry. Curse. Sarutobi's face darkened, and the smile disappeared in an instant. And when he saw Raikage on the ground twitching for a moment, he seemed to have a sense of enlightenment and discovered the only loophole in today's incident. Done. No, I can't let Itachi continue talking. When Sarutobi realized something was wrong and wanted to interrupt, Bai Yi's words followed. The tone is calm, giving people a feeling like a spring breeze, but there is no doubt that absolute authority is mixed in it. Actually, what you should consider, Lord Hokage, is not the issue of war. Sighed. Itachi can only catch ducks on the shelves. Lord Hokage's defeat today is doomed. He could only bite the bullet and continue, otherwise he would be suspected by Lord Bai Yi as an undercover agent. Simply, Hokage-sama is thick-skinned, at this level, should be able to withstand it, right? Weasel gritted his teeth. He met Sarutobi Hiruzen's stinky face, and spoke sincerely. Raikage was beaten and captured alive. As Hokage, you should consider. It's asking for compensation from Cloud Shinobi Village. Chapter 34 I beat him, there is another reason. Sometimes the topic is like that. When people who are not good at thinking choose to conform to the crowd, they will always be led to think differently. Only those who can jump out of this circle through the ages can achieve great things. Uchiha Itachi is clearly a case in point. For example, he mercilessly hacked to death his own father and mother. This has something to do with Uchiha's history of mental illness. It didn't stop Uchiha Itachi from changing his way of thinking. After all, he thinks about things, and his perspective is indeed different from others. This is why Bai Yi chose to let him stand up and answer Sarutobi Hiruzen's question. A lot of people gathered at the entrance of the village. There may be only a few people who can see the essence of this matter today. It seems that Captain Bai Yi is a little reckless today, but in fact, for Konoha, there is no risk at all. There are even great benefits to doing so. Itachi pondered for a moment, and after a short thought, gave his own analysis again. Although the ninja world is not without a precedent for Shadow to appear in person and then negotiate. But the very nature of doing so is extremely risky. Such as the second Hokage Senju Tobirama. Senju Tobirama. The absolute hero who developed Konoha to the first ninja village. The world knows how he died. He believed in his own strength. So he took Sarutobi and others to the country of thunder without fear to negotiate and conclude a covenant. Then he died on the way back, and was killed by the Golden Horn and the Silver Horn, and even killed second Raikage. This incident fully illustrates how stupid it is to choose to negotiate, and a film to go in person. However, it is estimated that second generation had no other choice at that time. There are too few people available for Konoha. Even if he finally handed over Hokage's position to Sarutobi Hiruzen, there was nothing he could do. Just as today fourth Raikage came to Konoha in person, he made a stupid decision. Itachi said with a sigh. He is very confident in his own strength, and even when he came to Konoha, he chose to provoke the guards and destroy the property safety of the villagers. And because of insufficient intelligence, he underestimated the strength of the guards in his eyes, and it is his own problem to be beaten like this now. The surrounding ninjas nodded. Apparently agrees with Uchiha Itachi's statement. But what does that have to do with what we're discussing? Even if you said that you took Raikage as a hostage and demanded compensation from Cloud Shinobi Village, those people are all war lunatics. Who knows if they will directly launch a war to avenge Raikage? With an IQ like Mitokado Homura, he obviously didn't hear something deeper, and he opened his mouth again. You also said he was a hostage, and his life is now in our hands. After all, the ninjas in Cloud Shinobi Village obey Raikage's orders. After all, he has a very high prestige in the village. Itachi gave Hokage advisor a bitter look. These words are equivalent to Sarutobi Hiruzen in disguise. Compared with Raikage, it is obvious that Hokage's prestige is difficult to describe in the village. Sarutobi's face was ashen. Obviously, the subtext of this sentence was heard. And what's even more embarrassing is that these words were said by Uchiha Itachi, who has always been regarded as a pawn by him. What's more, even if Raikage can't restrain Cloud Shinobi Village, does Cloud Shinobi Village really have the capital to start a war? Itachi spoke again, but this time, he looked at Uchiha Bai Yi with a complicated expression. This was actually not what he thought of at first. It was when they were in the guard team that the members of the guard team inadvertently asked Bai Yi once, and Bai Yi gave a positive reply. Cloud Shinobi Village also experienced the Third Ninja War, and during the war, they and Iwagakure often rubbed against each other, and the losses were also not small. Although their losses are much smaller than those of Konoha, you must know that Cloud Shinobi Village is not as good as Konoha. Especially when the Cloud Shinobi Village messengers show up in that defiant gesture, the theory is more reliable. Itachi muttered. At this point, he had to admire Bai Yi's way of thinking. If you think about it carefully, it is. Since your attitude is tough and you are often provocative, why do you still appear in Konoha and want to negotiate? Because they know their village can't afford the war anymore. But if you want to get enough chips and benefits from the negotiation, you must pretend that you may give up the negotiation at any time. Itachi said in a low voice. The most direct evidence is that the guards attacked the arrogance of the Cloud Shinobi Village messengers again and again, but they never left Konoha from beginning to end. They announced that they would give up the negotiation and see you on the battlefield. This shows that they are just bluffing, and they don't have the idea of completely tearing their faces. That's why they tolerate our behavior again and again. Konoha can't fight, just like Cloud Shinobi Village. It's a psychological battle. Combining the previous one about Mito Ivy. Looking at Mitokado Homura with a complicated expression, it is hard to imagine why this negotiation will be dominated by Cloud Shinobi Village. The problem actually lies with his own people. First got information from Konoha, and then came strong after knowing the truth of Konoha. I have to say that Fourth Raikage looks rough, but it also has a rough and fine side. The above is a summary of the humble opinion that today's captain's shot against Raikage will not affect my Konoha, but will be beneficial. Itachi looked back at Bai Yi, and judging from the man's playful expression, he didn't seem to care about it. It's Hokage-sama. Itachi smiled bitterly. The third-generation Sama's face flushed with fists clenched is really ugly. But he made this expression as obviously a reasonable thing. Bai Yi understood this very well. After all, he was one of the undercover agents who had been placed in the guard by himself, and slapped his face over and over again. After a few words, all the negative news about Bai Yi is gone. Even a gentle scum at this moment has become a hero of the entire Konoha, bringing great benefits to Konoha. Extremely positive energy. Yes. Raikage is in hand, I have Konoha in the world. Threatened by Raikage, Cloud Shinobi Village will try to compensate, and there is no need to worry about those people starting a war. Because they also can't fight, can't stand the wear and tear of war. Hero. There is no doubt that the Uchiha Bai Yi at this moment is the great hero of Konoha. People's eyes flickered, and they looked at Bai Yi with respect. But he himself did not care about it at all. Well said. Detailed enough. But this captain needs to add a little. Bai Yi said leisurely. Am I missing something to say? Itachi frowned and looked at Bai Yi nervously. After all, this is about whether he can be promoted to the vice captain of the squad. I beat him for another reason. Bai Yi stood dashingly. No one can break the rules of the guard. The Konoha Ordinance expressly stipulates that it is forbidden to do anything in the downtown area. Violators are detained for 10 to 30 days. With a big wave of his hand, the cloak of justice behind the man swayed in the wind, and the figure strode into the village. The ninjas and villagers present looked at the stalwart back of the man with respect. In his ears, only his indifferent voice remained. Put the prisoner in the jail. Close the team. Chapter 35I. Lousy is Raikage. Ah Raikage. Konoha. Uchiha tribe. Inside Bai Yi's mansion. Tossed for a noon. There was nothing to worry about on the guard's side, Shizune and Tsunade had already rushed over. With the addition of the medical team, there is no need to worry about the attrition problem with Cloud Shinobi Village. And Bai Yi. Then he went back to his home and planned to take a nap first. As a self-disciplined captain of the guard. Since the lunch break is used for overtime, it is reasonable to use the afternoon work time as a supplement. But this lunch break is obviously not very serious. Are you finished yet? Kushina was so embarrassed that she couldn't bear it anymore and wanted to flee the scene. It's still daytime. although this time period has not been tried. But I don't know why Bai Yi seems to be in a good mood today, so she can't stand it anymore. Furious, she rushed to the basement and found Samui and Wooden Golem. First glanced at Wooden Golem, and then looked up and down the other's small body. Kushina shook his head and gave up the idea, and pulled Samui's hand instead. Do me a favor. With a sincere and abnormal flush, Kushina said. You. Looking up and down at Kushina, she was extremely puzzled by the strange smell and surprising refreshing outfit on the woman in front of her. Don't say it, I owe you a favor. Kushina shook her head, pulled Sam Yi and stuffed her into Bai Yi's room, and then heaved a sigh of relief. After a few minutes, an angry voice followed. What? Konoha's. B************************************ D. Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Scum, shameless. You actually, Pit. I'm sorry girl. Kushina looked as usual. After all, she knew early on about the final ownership of the two captives in Cloud Shinobi Village. Sooner or later, although there is some guilt, this kind of beautiful behavior will make the Sven scum very satisfied. Whispering sound. The woman who entered this mansion had only one result. Even she is nothing but Bai Yi's private property. Sighing, she seemed a little melancholy. But before she could leave the door, a hand grabbed her directly from the inside and took her back. Obviously, her escape plan still failed. Inside a room in the basement of a mansion. Frowning by Wooden Golem. Is Samui in danger? She is asking about the two-tailed Matabi in her body. You'd better not go up to her. Two Tails looked struggling. The strange relationship between the so-called tailed beast and Jinchuriki always has strange emotions contagious in it. Although it is closed, its perception still exists. Bai Yi didn't block its power. So what happened above, in fact, it knows. Obviously. It didn't give the idea to shoot the MV by Wooden Golem. But what was that feeling? Futao Matabi's eyes flickered, as if thinking about this. Afternoon. Until it's time to get off work. Bai Yi finally appeared at the police force headquarters refreshed. Self-discipline is like him, silently working hard for the village, and he is truly a moral role model among ninjas. He beat Raikage and let the undercover brother slap the face of third generation himself, once again maintaining the peace of the village. The self-discipline captain is obviously in a good mood. As the deceased okay. Adjacent to the infirmary. Bai Yi took a step and rolled his eyes. It's probably been a long time since I've been in the office for a day, so Tsunade is a little listless. Surprisingly, a strange question was asked. Don't worry, it was a peaceful walk. Uchiha Sanyo said respectfully. Oh, by the way, looking back, Bai Yi is here. Crunch. Bai Yi pushed open the door and entered. It's just that you are here, let me tell you directly. Tsunade yawned. Raikage's situation has stabilized a lot, but you're a black guy. Even if it's me, if I do my best to treat him, I can at most guarantee that I can act reluctantly in the future. In other words, he's never going to go back to his peak form in his life. However, if he desperately ignores the consequences, he can still show some strength. It belongs to the kind of one-time use and no next time. In short, Raikage is dead. Where are the others? Bai Yi raised his eyebrows. Uchiha Kong is interrogating, saying that he wants to give you a long face, and he has to ask something. Tsunade pouted and seemed a little dissatisfied that Bai Yi only cared about Raikage. Hey, what about overtime pay? Auntie came back specially during the lunch break, and she didn't sleep during the afternoon nap. Bai Yi smiled slightly and said in his heart that it's fortunate that you didn't go back at noon, otherwise there would be nothing to do with Sam Yi. With Kushina and your friendship, I will definitely seek your support. In this way, Raikage's treatment points will be divided into 1/3 of you. Bai Yi thought about it and said a very impressive number. Yes, Raikage is dead. But he has to live. He is still very clear about the principle that wool comes from sheep. Moreover, if Raikage wants to regain his peak in the future, I am afraid that he can only find Orochimaru. These have nothing to do with him. The reason why Tsunade came back for Reikage's recovery was to collect huge medical bills. It was as simple as that. Although I crippled you. And you are injured. But I saved you. It took a lot of manpower and material resources to treat you, so I hired the best medical ninja Tsunade. Is it reasonable to ask you to pay for medical bills? You are sensible kid. Tsunade nodded in satisfaction, glanced at the time, and chose to skip work early. Today, she paid half a year's salary in advance, and plans to go to the casino to have a good time. To Tsunade, Bai Yi was very generous. The reason goes without saying. Because no matter how much you pay her, she still loses the game in the end. And that casino was opened by Uchiha Bai Yi. In other words, the money was given to Tsunade from Bai Yi, Tsunade returned it from the casino, and then he also got a free labor that was pleasing to the eye. This deal is totally worth it. Say hello to Tsunade. Bai Yi walked to the interrogation room. Before entering, I heard Uchiha Satoshi's serious and arrogant voice. Say, are you a spy who broke into Konoha from other villages? Through the window, when Bai Yi saw forth Reikage's livid face, he immediately stopped in Bangbu. Face this problem. I struggled with trembling, and let out a hysterical roar. Are you F*************************** G sick? FKUM********************* R. Lousy as Reikage, Reikage Ah. Chapter 36 The Daily Life of an Undercover Agent, a New Mission for Hokage. It seems that the interrogation effect is very good. Glancing at the shivering Reikage, Bai Yi rubbed his chin and turned to leave. Uchiha Satoshi is a talent. It needs a little polishing though. By the way, let's take a look and see if he has any precursors to the outbreak of psychosis that are exclusive to the Uchiha clan. He obviously did not forget the purpose of coming to the headquarters. Check in to get off work. In the evening, I also had an appointment with Uyushian to go shopping. The life of the strong is so simple and unpretentious. He enjoys his. The high level like to fight openly and secretly and let them go. But say it. He, the captain of the guards, can't sit still, right? Sometimes I go to see my sister-in-law. After all, after the Third Ninja War, after he came back with Fugaku on his back, there was a problem with the beloved Uchiha patriarch, which made him more and more powerless. As a responsible captain of the guard, taking care of the sister-in-law is obviously a matter of responsibility. I'm really busy these days. Bai Yi said with emotion. Konoha. Inside Hokage's office. At this time, a figure was half kneeling on the ground, calmly reporting. And Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was sitting in the chair, looked a little tangled at the people below. You mean, he casually handed the task of interrogating Reikage to Uchiha Satoshi. As the controller of Konoha, the third generation clearly wanted to know everything that was going on in the village. He needs to know everything. And with such a big thing happening today, he was eager to know what was going on in the guard. But the guards are monolithic and want to know anything, only through Uchiha Itachi. So although I know it's a bit risky. But he still called on Uchiha Itachi. Yes, my identity is not exposed to more things. Although I was promoted to the vice captain of the squad, it is still in the learning stage, and those things will not pass through my hands. Uchiha Itachi calmly talks about his daily life in the guard. Every morning, Guy instructor will take us to boot camp and learn some physical skills. Then I would be entangled by Mr. Tree, the man who called Uchiha Bai Yi his brother-in-law, but claimed to be the illegitimate child of Uchiha Bai Yi and Lord Tsunade, and dragged me down to the bathhouse to wash each other. I can't resist, I can only obey. Having said that, Uchiha Itachi turned pale and looked down at him tremblingly. Today, there was abruptly caught. Then he was compared enthusiastically by Mr. Shu, and then he laughed, seemingly mocking, but full of sunshine. But he assured that even Mr. Tree is clearly at an average level. After all, not everyone can be a livestock like Uchiha Bai Yi. After all, the tough man Uchiha Bai Yi was only one size smaller than the readers, which was rare at that time. Then there will be daily patrols. It's a patrol in name, but it's actually a day when some businesses pay the protection fee, and the team in charge of the patrol will settle the bill on that day. The attitude of the merchants is unbelievably good. Itachi was also very emotional about this. It is clear that the taxes and fees have been paid and will be protected by Konoha, but they do not seem to be disgusted by the additional protection fees. After the lunch break, the team leaders will gather together for a meeting. Of course, the so-called meeting is simply a gathering of people to play cards and brag about each other. For example, today, the squad leaders gave a toast to Satoshi Uchiha. Uchiha Kong's performance was very useful, and his subordinates also flattered each other. Itachi reported carefully. Usually in the afternoon, there will be a second training exercise, but this has nothing to do with Guy Instructor. It belongs to the obedience training that Uchiha Baiyi himself made. There are many items, such as interplay, tactics, posture, etc. Then if there is no task at night, clock in normally after get off work. Slowly, Itachi frowned. Lord Hokage, with all due respect, I don't think it will do anything to hide like this. And the guards don't have any secrets that threaten the village. Yes. At the beginning, third generation let Uchiha Itachi go undercover under the pretext that the presence of the guards would threaten the village, so he let Itachi sneak in for the sake of the village. But until now, Itachi has not seen the guards do any harm to the village. And on the contrary, the existence of the guards has safeguarded the interests of the village many times. Hehe, it's just that you haven't reached the absolute core position, and some things have been hidden by them. Third generation smiled and lit the pouch, and an epic burst of smoke hit Uchiha Itachi's face. Is this an act of revenge? Revenge yourself for thinking, from Hokage's point of view, today. Itachi was silent, enduring secondhand smoke from third generation. There were a lot of smokers in the guards, but there was a special smoking room. Even Baiyi wouldn't spray smoke on people's faces for no reason. Okay, keep lurking. If necessary, the old man will take the initiative to contact you. With a wave of his hand, third generation lacked interest in the rest of the guard. For example, those regulations and the like, he didn't bother to think about it. And this place that he ignored happened to be the most threatening place for the guards. Third generation didn't ask. Weasel didn't say anything. Even he breathed a sigh of relief. Shaking his head, Itachi turned to leave. Isn't it effective to lurk? Hehe, the old man has already obtained the information he wants. Third generation squinted and wrote 4 words on the blank paper on the desk. Uchiha Satoshi. A little guy who was ignored by himself a long time ago. But now, that ignorance has disappeared. Third generation smoked his pouch, his eyes twinkling. He can't be wrong. You can't go wrong. At the entrance of the village, the weird pattern in Uchiha Satoshi's pupils. That is Mangekyo Sharingan. Eyes above Sango Jade. Even Uchiha Fugaku, the head of the Uchiha clan, did not have eyes. In this regard, Fugaku's secrecy work is in place. He had already opened his eyes in the Third Ninja World War, but he has been forbearing. Uchiha Satoshi. A person worth paying attention to. And he also had to dump the key information. Uchiha Satoshi is the one in charge of interrogating Raikage. There are many articles that can be done here. Well, we need to try it out first. With an idea in mind, he spoke again. Come on. A figure walked into the office. The masked Anbu ninja raised his head and half-kneeled waiting for Hokage's order. I'll give you a task. Chapter 37 The Invitation of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Fire Country. Konoha. After a busy day, Uchiha Kong is still in good spirits. Recently he has been called a spring breeze. Not only was he promoted to sub-commander, but he also started Mangekyo Sharingan at noon. In the current guard team, even the deputy captain of Mount Uchiha has to call him Kong. It's cool anyway. Although Mangekyo's side effects are a bit big, it's a little outrageous for him to do it now. But that's okay. He smiled and fiddled with the small medicine bottle in his hand. Inside, the pink liquid was slowly flowing. This thing he bought at the drugstore for a lot of money. It is an indispensable noble and famous medicine in order to revive a man's majesty. To this end, he even managed to borrow some money from Uchiha Shanyang to get enough to buy a bottle. He swears that Zhao Hong in the custom shop will admire his proud self, and even if he is weak, he still does not forget his responsibilities as a member of the guard team. That is to increase business for the custom shop. After all, the Mu Yi Feng custom shop is a big payer of protection fees, and many brothers are willing to increase the performance of the custom shop. Shaking the vial, Uchiha Kong walked down the street humming a song. This thing is a treasure, more advanced than Daliwan. I heard that you only need to pour it on your hand and wipe it while you are doing business, and you can activate the hidden bloodlines of both parties at the same time, which is very strong. Certainly. This thing is not very useful to powerful ninjas. After all, it is normal for ninjas to use poison. Once they find something wrong, they will flow chakra in their bodies, which is as simple as solving an illusion. But when actively used, the effect is quite good. Whoosh. Just as Uchiha Satoshi was thinking about how much to use for a while, a figure fell from the sky. FK me. Uchiha Satoshi was taken aback by surprise. Uchiha Satoshi, Lord Hokage told you to go to his house and wait for a while, he has something to look for you. With Anbu's ninja voice indifferent. Hokage looking for me? I don't. Uchiha Satoshi's face was full of anger, and he looked down at the bottle that he accidentally twisted open. He was taken aback just now, and when he was in a hurry and got angry, he unscrewed the bottle in advance. That's nothing. At this moment, the liquid in the bottle is all poured into the right hand. Done. Lousy money. How does this make him not angry? Looking at the Anbu ninja in front of him, Brother Kong's expression was uncertain. He was thinking about how to trick the other party, so he held back his refusal. Brother Kong thought of a way as he walked. Suddenly, the two had arrived at Sarutobi Hiruzen's house. Go in by yourself. Anbu ninja glanced at Uchiha Satoshi and disappeared in a flash. Done. No chance. Brother Kong gritted his teeth. His plan to have a good night was ruined. At this time, it seems that Sarutobi Bawako heard the movement and opened the door suspiciously and looked over. Different from the original. Because of Bai Yi's crossing, and also because Kushina and Lake Biwa are not very happy together. Therefore, the Nine Tails Rebellion gave birth to Uzumaki Kushina, and the one who died at the hands of Obito was replaced by someone else, but Lake Biwa was spared. You're here to find Hiruzen. As the wife of the third generation, although Lake Biwa is not involved in Sarutobi's affairs, he still knows something. The person in front of him is a member of Uchiha's clan, and the clan emblem shows his identity. Hokage invited the Uchiha clan to the house. Come in. Opening the door, Lake Biwa walked up to Brother Satoshi and issued an invitation. But Brother Kong is obviously not the kind of person who likes to betray. The reason why he followed was just figuring out how to shackle that Anbu ninja on the way. So he quickly stretched out his right hand and shook it in front of Lake Biwa. Daba. Right here. Just kidding, as the boss's subordinate, going to Hokage's house late at night. This matter is big or small, but he obviously doesn't want Bai Yi to doubt himself because of this. Brother Kong clearly has the proper conduct. But when Brother Kong finished speaking, he opened his mouth and looked down at Lake Biwa's nostrils in shock. There, a drop of unknown pink liquid has stuck on it. Fine. Lake Biwa yawned and sucked, and the pink liquid was naturally sucked into the stomach by Lake Biwa. Done. Hokage is a waste tonight. At his age, can he stand the toss? Brother Kong was dumbfounded, and quickly took 2 steps back in order to avoid being attacked. Am I that scary? Lake Biwa shook his head and didn't bother to answer Uchiha Satoshi and returned to the room. But at this time, Brother Kong obviously didn't know that things were not that simple. Just not far from Sarutobi Hiruzen's house. A root ninja is reporting something to the person in front of him. Are you sure he entered Sarutobi's yard? Danzo asked with a sneer. Yes, but Lord Third Generation hasn't come back yet, he should be handling official business. The root ninja said respectfully. Fortunately, I was resourceful and followed up in advance. Danzo squinted his eyes and nodded happily. As long as he hasn't touched Sarutobi, he has a chance. And he is also sure to lead Uchiha Satoshi out of Sarutobi's house. After all, there is only one Lake Biwa in Sarutobi's house at the moment. Although when he was young, he did have a strong pursuit of Lake Biwa, and now he occasionally misses the green years and the nights he spent with each other. But at this age, Shimura Danzo naturally wouldn't give each other face. After thinking about it, he strode over. Someone is coming. At the same time, Uchiha Satoshi, who had become cautious after being raided by Anbu ninjas, was washing his hands next to the pond at Sarutobi Hiruzen's house. Ignoring the fish in the pond that became extremely irritable because of a certain drug, he hurriedly hid behind the tree next to him. It's him. Seeing the person in doubt, Uchiha Kong was a little confused. Danzo actually came. And it was natural to knock on the door of Lake Biwa. It's you. The state of Lake Biwa at this time was obviously not quite right. Her face was a little red, and her eyes seemed to be burning with fire. After all, because of age, Sarutobi is less and less reusable, using cucumber all day long. There will always be a day when he is tired. So some medicines are quite powerful for her. Even just a drop. I'm looking for, Danzo went straight to the topic, but before he could finish his words, he was directly attacked by Lake Biwa. Brother Zhang. Tibetan. Danzo's body trembled as those green years came to his mind. Lake Biwa, you. Needless to say, it is the age of sitting on the ground and sucking soil, and Lake Biwa has long since stopped coming to those empty places. Don't worry about Danzo, she wants to have a good fight today and go for a cool walk. Did not say. She pulled Danzo straight into the room. When Uchiha Satoshi, who threw away the bottle after washing his hands, returned to the entrance of the courtyard and stared at it. He was silent for a while, then sighed. Turned over his arms. A digital approximation fell into the hands. Brother Kong glanced at the camera, and then at the figure walking in the distance. A flash of enlightenment flashed in his eyes. No wonder. No wonder Sarutobi Shinosuke looks nothing like third-generation Sama. Chapter 38. The criminal Shimura Danzo has been arrested. Fire Country. Konoha. Night fell, and the evening wind blew past Sarutobi Hiruzen's old face. Walking on the bustling streets, you can see your brightly lit house in the distance. Lord Third Generation couldn't help but burst into poetry and murmured casually. The wind is very noisy today. Taking off the green leaves that fell on his head, Sarutobi Hiruzen's old face was full of satisfaction. Where the tree Yifei dances, the fire also grows. The fire will continue to illuminate the village and allow new leaves to sprout. Ha 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 ha. Does this person have a brain disease? The entrance to Sarutobi Hiruzen's house. Hearing the third generation was extremely happy, like the smile after 10 days of constipation suddenly burst out. Uchiha Satoshi's head exploded. You're here, haven't you waited for a long time? Why didn't you go in? Putting on a kind smile, third generation's face flushed. Just here. Brother Kong muttered. Sarutobi lit his bong, a look of satisfaction on his face. You see. Even if he is a member of the guard, even if he is Uchiha Baiyi's person, can Ben Hokage be summoned casually? He didn't hear from Anbu Ninja about Uchiha Satoshi's refusal to come to his house. This means that this trial is likely to be successful. Yes. He's eyeing Uchiha Satoshi's talent. Humans have weaknesses. With just a lot of contact, Sarutobi thinks he can find his weakness and then control it. Itachi is a dark child, and so is Uchiha Satoshi. Even if this kid rejects his solicitation today, as long as the news of his visit as a guest reaches Baiyi's ears, suspicion will exist. Over time, the excluded Uchiha Satoshi will definitely turn to himself. Mangekyo Sharingan. The last person with these eyes was Uchiha Kagami. Obviously, at this time, he didn't know that Shisui had opened his eyes. After all, Sarutobi knew the news in the original book, and Shisui took the initiative to say it. Even in front of Danzo and Sarutobi, telling them how cocky their distinguished heavenly gods are. Very outrageous behavior. But he did just that. Hee, don't be nervous. Seemingly aware of Uchiha Satoshi's tangled expression, Sarutobi patted his shoulder. Since you are here, then some words and some things will be easier to handle. But this is not the place to talk. Come in with me. Brother Kong remained silent, not moving. What's wrong? Sarutobi asked with some doubts. Do you have to go in? Uchiha Satoshi looked odd. Even if he didn't go in to watch it, he knew that it must be a big show. He is confident in what he buys, and just by looking at Bawako's attitude and Danzo's refusal, he knows how intense the battle is. Really? This kid was standing at the door waiting for him not to go in. Sure enough, his heart was not firm enough. I was afraid that if I visited Hokage's house late at night, it would arouse Baiyi's suspicion. But this is also normal. If Uchiha Satoshi simply accepted the invitation, then there might be a problem here. Seeing the other party's reaction, Sarutobi was relieved. It's good to have concerns. Don't worry, we're just chatting casually. Come in, the old man is old, can't let the old man follow you to stand at the wind blowing. Sarutobi pulled Brother Kong with a smile, and the two walked towards the room step by step. This is your choice. Brother Kong squinted his eyes, and walked with him half-push, like a little girl who put down her restraint. Finally, when Sarutobi led Uchiha Satoshi in and pushed open the door, everything has changed drastically. The smile on Sarutobi's face was gone. Immediately after, shock, confused, suffocated, green. What? When all the emotions turned into anger, he rushed towards the dog and woman on the sofa like a roaring vicious dog. Click. Brother Kong endured vomiting, picked up the camera and secretly took a picture. This angle is good. Glancing at the bottom plate, Brother Kong shivered. In the photo, a man and a woman were entangled, and even though Sarutobi Hiruzen, who turned into a vicious dog, rushed over, he still did not stop his movements. Snapped. When the loud slap was the first to fan Lake Biwa's face. The old woman touched her face suspiciously, then looked around. Immediately after, her pupils shrank for a while, and with a very fast response, she threw herself into Sarutobi's arms with a wow, and then angrily stretched out her finger to Danzo. He forced me. The wicked report first. You fart. Danzo was furious. You didn't say that just now, and you kept saying that I was better than Sarutobi. You also said that I helped Sarutobi a lot. Who is that person who takes a bite of a Tibetan brother? Snapped. Another slap, but this time Sarutobi lashed out, hitting Shimura Danzo. UF************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** with a grim face, has long since lost the calmness of the past. He came back a little earlier today because he wanted to summon Uchiha Satoshi at home. How did you know such a thing happened? Just stealing people. Still frame yourself as being inferior to him. What a joke. The lousy summoning beast is a wishful gold hoop. Lousy can't have any props. Where the FK do I need your help? Snapped. Another slap slapped Danzo's face. Sarutobi's eyes were red, and he wanted to kill on the spot. You are crazy. Danzo was furious, and stood up regardless of the tatters of his clothes, trying to fight back. He was also suffocated by this today. Originally, it was Lake Biwa who took the initiative. What does it have to do with him? Two angry old men, at this moment, because of Lake Biwa, they look like they are going to work hard. But when they are about to start, a figure stood in front of the two of them, followed by that serious cry. Wait a minute. Serious Uchiha Satoshi has a different kind of momentum. His roar also made the two of them wake up a little. But he's not here to be an old man. Senior Bawako, you just said that Danzo forced you, right? Brother Kong, who was smart since he was a child, asked solemnly. Yes, Danzo forced me. Lake Biwa insisted that he was the victim. Okay. That being the case, the guards are in charge of you today. Stand proudly. Brother Kong stares at Danzo. Strong J criminal Shimura Danzo, I am now arresting you as the Konoha guard. God F asterisk 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 G strong J criminal. Lousy is innocent. The furious Danzo's eyes were red, and he could not wait to chop up Brother Kong to feed the dog on the spot. Guard. I am Grass. Yes, there is another member of the guard here. Sarutobi was shocked. If this incident went to the guards, everyone would know that he was wearing a green hat. No, absolutely not. Uchiha Satoshi, this matter doesn't need to be too publicized. It's a good suggestion. Take a ride, verbally wow. Brother Kong interrupted directly. As a member of the guard, I must enforce the law impartially. No one will be allowed to slip through the net in front of this law enforcement. Don't worry, Hokage-sama, I will definitely give you an explanation to Bawako-senpai. After all, I'm doing this for the sake of the village. Otherwise, someone like Danzo will definitely have a bad impact. This matter must be severely punished. Turning his head, he looked at Danzo unselfishly. Strong J criminal Shimura Danzo, please come with me. I'm strong on your mother. Danzo was completely angry, and he didn't know where to get a kunai, and stabbed Uchiha Satoshi fiercely. You still want to attack the police? Kong was furious. But suffering is so close. He didn't seem to have time to dodge. No, you must not embarrass Lord Baiyi. When stinging eyes hit, he seemed to understand something. The Sango Jade disappeared, replaced by a brand new Mangekyo. Clang. The sound of golden iron chirping came. The expected sting of kunai did not appear. What's even more unexpected is the black armor that blocks Brother Kong's body. Initial form Susanoo. Only bones and arms, not fully encased. But a mere kunai cannot be pierced at all. Brother Kong didn't rush to feel the power, but instead grinned and controlled Susanoo's bones to grab Danzo. Bring it to you. In just one encounter, he pinched Danzo in his hand. Boom. Another punch smashed the wall of Sarutobi's house, and the figure like an arrow rushed out. As he ran, he shouted something in his throat. The guards are doing business. The idle people are waiting to escape. The strong criminal Shimura Danzo has been arrested and brought to justice. Lousy's words today, there are guards here, and I will never let the elders of Lake Biwa suffer in vain. Done. It's all over. This moment. Sarutobi's face was ashen, and he leaned on the sofa in a decadent manner, his eyes lost their brilliance. On the contrary, the eyes of Lake Biwa next to him flickered, as if he was reminiscing about something. Chapter 39 The upcoming public trial, Danzo who is wrong. The night is dark. The captain of the guard, who had worked hard all day, was smoking an afterthought. Samui, who was sitting next to the duck on the bed, seemed unusually well behaved at the moment. She was afraid. Totally scared. However, the equivalent of fear is the obedience that suddenly appeared in the bones. In other words, she has succumbed to Baiyi's rule. The strong are respected. Although Sam Yi's attitude towards Baiyi cannot be called respect at this moment, he is also changing in this direction. Master, may I ask a question? Obediently sticking next to Baiyi, although his body was tired, Sam Yi was obsessed with this feeling. The former hostility is slowly disappearing, and the obsession with being a Cloud Shinobi village ninja is also beginning to dissipate. What will I do with Reikage? Baiyi looked at ease, and easily pierced Sam Yi's mind. The slave didn't mean to plead for him. As if afraid of Baiyi's misunderstanding, Sam Yi quickly explained. She was just curious what the outcome would be for Reikage in the end. This also proves from the side that she wants to find common topics as much as possible to better understand her master. Girlfriend. Wife. Samui is self-aware. Now Baiyi defines her identity as a maid. Simple interrogation, and some good communication first. Moving to the side, Baiyi lay on Samui's lap, enjoying the massage force of the other's little hand. Yes. Good communication. For example, let Uchiha Satoshi interrogate and defeat the opponent from the spiritual level. Then there is the public hearing phase. Public hearing. As if he had never heard of this term, Sam Yi lowered his head and looked at Baiyi curiously. However, because a certain lamp was too large, Baiyi's face was suffocated directly after he lowered his head. Sorry. Moving away in a panic, Samui changed his angle. Well, open trial. Bai Yi's eyes were burning and he seemed to have a new idea. Monthly, the guards will announce the criminals they have caught, the crimes they have committed and the penalties they have received. And for those who are extremely sinful or have strong influence, they will be pulled into the central square of Konoha by our guards. If the villagers are interested, they can watch. Isn't this a public execution? Completely different from Cloud Shinobi Village's secret execution plan. To a certain extent, the guard is really transparent. Samui's eyes shone brightly. I is one of the more influential categories, when the guards will make his crimes public and give the results. But after all, it's the negotiation stage between the two villages. It is estimated that there will be a lot of people watching. If you want to know, it's okay to go and see it. Shaking his head, Bai Yi lacked interest. In a few days, it will be the public trial stage, when he will preside over the interrogation meeting on behalf of the guards. He was not at all worried that Samui and Wooden Golem would take the opportunity to escape. If you want to know the follow-up, you can see it yourself, and he is too lazy to explain. The interest in chatting is gone. In its place are other interests. The night is still long, rest. Bai Yi showed a gentleman's smile. This be ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* again. Next door, Tsunade, who was sitting up from his dying illness, was horrified. Oh my god. Do you have nothing else to do at night? What's in your head? And are you sure your body can handle it? Do not. It seems that Samui is the one to be worried about. I really don't know how you got here all these years. Tsunade rolled his eyes and looked at Kushina, who was sleeping naturally beside him. Apparently she wasn't affected at all. Tsunade swears she'll change rooms tomorrow. There are many rooms in Baiyi's manor. But except for Kushina's room next door, the rest has not been sorted out, so she can only deal with it for one night here. After all, Kushina herself was surprised when she learned that Tsunade was staying here at night. Reaching out, Tsunade tugged at Kushina helplessly, as if he wanted to ask him the secret to falling asleep quickly. Spare me Baiyi. I'm sleepy. There is a saying that habit becomes natural. Kushina, who was sleeping, mumbled involuntarily. Tsunade's mouth twitched, and he pushed her hard. Okay, I know, then hurry up. It seems that Kushina in the dream chose to compromise and turned his back to Tsunade. Who are these people? Tsunade covered his face. Sunrise East. Another new day. A good life starts with a consistent training program. Inside the manor. Baiyi Action Standard. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, are going on in an orderly manner. Guy didn't come to him today. In this case, there should be a delay. So Baiyi chose to exercise by himself. If you run a 10-kilometer long distance, you can go to work and go to the training ground in a while to complete it. You seem to be mean to me. When doing sit-ups. Baiyi looked at Tsunade, who was sitting on his lap, helping me to complete the movements, and he showed a puzzled look. Do you lose your hair when you wake up? Tsunade had dark circles under his eyes, staring at Baiyi like an old Huxia doctor. Baiyi replied blankly. Will that cause memory loss? Always insomnia at night. Tsunade frowned and continued. Also, frequent nocturnal urination, 5 upsets, night sweats, cold limbs. Baiyi looked complicated and looked up at Tsunade. Let's be honest, why did you ask me about the symptoms of kidney deficiency? Can this be said directly? Tsunade's delicate body trembled, and then he waved his hand righteously. I'm thinking of Kushina's happiness. I just want to remind you, don't act like you are young. You say yes. Baiyi rolled his eyes and didn't bother to talk nonsense. This woman is pure and seriously ill. He is false, can Kushina know? Breakfast is over. Baiyi and Tsunade came to the guard headquarters together. But what made Baiyi curious was that the brothers in charge of the night shift didn't seem to sleep secretly, but were talking in high spirits. Boss, you are here. Coincidentally, Uchiha Kong came out of the interrogation room happily. You shouldn't be on duty last night, right? Baiyi glanced at the shift list on the wall in confusion. It was clearly written that there was no Uchiha Kong who was on duty last night, and he even had a rest today. I caught a strong criminal and conducted a night of surprise interrogation. Uchiha Satoshi said excitedly. Strong J offender. When did Konoha appear such criminals? Isn't the lady in the custom shop not fragrant? One thing to say, Bai Yi has personally experienced it, and the quality of the girls there is quite good. This is the first case. Must pay attention. Bai Yi and Tsunade's expressions changed, and then directly strode into the interrogation room. But when they saw Danzo trapped in the chair, the corners of their mouths twitched. The old man has said it. The old man is wrong. The old man is the victim. It's clear that Sarutobi Bawako forced me. Why don't you believe it? Danzo in the chair was hoarse, as if he had been humiliated. You fart. The tools of the crime are on you, Lousy has already checked. Uchiha Kong, who walked in, grinned, and rushed over to slap Danzo in the face. How to deal with such criminals? Uchiha Sanyo also walked in and asked with a frown. Confiscation of crime tools. Itachi glanced at the regulations, and then silently reminded. And at this time, Bai Yi had already recovered from the confusion. Brother Kong cleverly handed him a cigarette. He took a sip, and blew a ring of smoke. Bai Yi sighed faintly. Go ahead. Chapter 40 Enforcement, Step on the Roots Today. Fire Country. Konoha. Guard Force Headquarters. When Bai Yi learned the whole story from Uchiha Kong, he fell silent. The world is always like this. A small deviation can cause a chain reaction. What's wrong with Uchiha Satoshi? He just wanted to add some business to the custom shop. The reason for everything was that third generation wanted to invite Uchiha Satoshi to his house. Conspiracy theorists will always put themselves in their shoes and think of their own forces as victims. Just like Sarutobi. Lack of ability. Sitting in the Hokage's position is like sitting on pins and needles, always on the lookout for someone else's power grab. In the final analysis, this is a kind of weak self-confidence. Stronger than first Hokage, he instead wanted to cede Hokage's place to Uchiha Madara. Really good for Konoha. Never stick to Hokage's location. It's not that Hokage's position can be firmly established to bring benefits to Konoha. The little trick to sow discord, because of the coincidence of Sarutobi's stupidity and Uchiha Satoshi, was subtly resolved. It's ridiculous to think about. Third generation turned its attention to Uchiha Satoshi. Isn't this a serious illness? He doesn't really think he can control a mental illness, does he? Yes. Uchiha Satoshi is sick. Bai Yi was convinced of this. After all, every Uchiha clan who opens Mangekyo will have a special kind of emotional illness. Certainly. It can also be said that this is not a disease, but an obsession that erupts because of strong stimulation and wanting to change. But what's weirder is that Uchiha Satoshi's change is his fanatical attitude towards himself. This is a jerk boy. Unless you can completely eradicate his beliefs, you will never betray. Didn't you see the name of the pupil technique? That is asking God to go up. In Uchiha Kong's eyes, he has regarded Bai Yi as a god. So even today's guard. Bai Yi didn't even bother to control them with the so-called 100% loyalty method. Otherwise, what's the difference between that and a machine? The strong have always been subdued by strength and charm. Team leader. Uchiha Sanyo walked over respectfully. It's been cut. Do you want to take a look? Bai Yi rolled his eyes and looked at him speechlessly. Uchiha Shanyang has good abilities, but his head always lacks a string to ask some strange questions. Seeming to sense something was wrong, Uchiha Sanyo scratched his head in embarrassment. However, he seems to refuse to cooperate, and does not want to pay medical fees and ransoms to redeem himself, and is also very inconsistent with the fine items. Yes. After the execution is over, the process of executing the fixed-term imprisonment comes. Some will be sent directly to Konoha prison. And some people can use the ransom to commute their sentences and release them early. Such as betraying the village and getting the Mitokado Homura guaranteed by Hokage. He just paid a heavy price and got out of jail. Besides, There are also fines to be paid after committing a crime. As for medical expenses, now, usually there's life-threatening consequences after a palace torture. But at this time in the ninja world, medical ninjutsu to stop bleeding is not a big problem, and raikage is the same treatment. Since you have been treated, it is reasonable to pay some medical expenses, right? But obviously neither Tsunade nor Shizune could take on this job. After all, the location of the wound is strange, and it is always a little inconvenient. So, Danzo was treated by a male medical ninja that Tsunade brought back from Konoha Hospital. Then enforce it. Bai Yi put down the cigarette butt, and his expression was calm. Mandatory. Uchiha Sanyo stood upright, took out the walkie-talkie and roared. The Konoha Guard. All assembly. This moment. Whether it is the members of the guard team training in the morning exercise field or the responsible team patrolling outside, all received the news. Mandatory. For some criminals who dare not cooperate, the most simple, effective and direct way to deal with them. Criminals are pushed directly into prison. Since you don't cooperate, no one is used to your stinky problems. If you don't give it, I'll take it myself. When all the members of the guard team were assembled, the 5 sub-commanders stood at the forefront, and behind them stood the uniformed guard team members, who looked awe-inspiring and full of murderous aura. All it takes is Bai Yi's order, and it will be executed without hesitation. Gai-san hasn't experienced it. Uchiha Satoshi looked serious and whispered to Might Guy next to him. As a specially hired instructor for the guard, he is obviously also in the scope of the entire assembly. In addition to him, Naoki and Itachi also stood in their place. Yeah, it's the first time to see the entire guards dispatched. Guy sighed and admired Bai Yi even more. He found that the most intuitive feeling of the guard team after the assembly was that the team seemed to have its own temperament. Unlike any squad, their eyes were fiery, and they only looked in one direction, always following Bai Yi. It's going to be enforced. Uchiha Satoshi said solemnly. Even if I have been in the guards for so long, the number of forced executions is limited. And the enforcement strategy of dispatching 5 teams is also the first experience. Yes. Enforcement also depends on the scale of the action. The stronger the opponent is, the more people will be dispatched. But this time, it was clear that the players had misunderstood. Bai Yi didn't think the people who needed to be dealt with were a little tricky. I just want to show off my muscles. The collection is complete. Bai Yi stood at the forefront. The cloak of justice moves with the wind. His expression was calm, but it gave off a solemn feeling. Strong J criminal Shimura Danzo refused to pay related fees. I, Uchiha Bai Yi, announced in the name of the captain of the guard, enforced. Brush. The execution blade is pulled from the waist. Bai Yi pointed in one direction. Target. The former abandoned the root base. Rebels, life or death. Flatten the roots. Chapter 41 is the warning useless. Live or die. Also known as the Anbu Training Department. In this name, Danzo gathers talents to control. Now the root has become Danzo's own private soldier. Adhering to the attitude of rather killing the wrong, not letting go, and carrying out those things that are not visible. On this point, Danzo and Sarutobi have an unspoken understanding. The most intuitive manifestation in the original is that even though Sarutobi knew that Orochimaru had cooperated with Danzo, he captured so many babies and ninjas for experiments. But in the end, he chose to let the other party go and pushed everything on Orochimaru, but he just took Yamato away and rested. This can fully reflect third generation's attitude towards Danzo and its roots. As long as it didn't go too far, third generation would turn a blind eye to Danzo's actions. The two were self-proclaimed, and they have contributed to Konoha's hard work. As for why is the former abandoned root base? The reason is not complicated. Knowing the original work, Bai Yi understands that the root base on the bright side is just a pretense. Only the one that was surrounded by the third generation with Anbu before, below the abandoned Orochimaru laboratory, is the place where the real roots work. If you follow the original storyline, after the third generation used Danzo to execute the genocide plan for the Uchiha family, he began to kill the donkeys. Force Danzo to dissolve the root. But that was just a disbandment on the surface. Behind the scenes, Danzo was still going his own way, acting as the leader of his roots. Are the guards out? My God, so many people, what is this going to do? Could it have something to do with Mr. Hokage's wife being RD? Isn't it? Where did you get this kid from? Shish, be quiet, I have some gossip. I heard that last night, Captain Uchiha Satoshi personally arrested Mr. Danzo, who was disheveled, from Mr. Hokage's house. And Uchiha Satoshi, the sub-commander, also called Mr. Danzo a strong criminal. Is it so cool? Yeah, but the rumor says it was Lord Hokage's wife who took the initiative. The guards did not move much. In the case of All Out, it will naturally attract the attention of others. Everyone rushed to Qianjin, but Bai Yi followed leisurely. He is in no hurry. Let your subordinates surround the root base first. Speak up. Konoha village says that it is not big, but it is not small. Sometimes it is difficult to reach the crime scene in the first time with the strength of the ninja's feet. Mobility needs to be improved. Although using the body flicker technique is also quite good, it always lacks a sense of impact and oppression. Since it is the guard, you can't always run forward every time you perform a task. It should not be too much with a chakra-powered motorcycle. I remember that during the period when the bloggers turned, and after the development of technology, there were a lot of strange means of transportation. Touching his chin, Bai Yi fell into thinking. This also means that the convenient transportation technology tree in this world can be ordered. But I don't have the leisure to study this stuff. Technology-related talents. Bai Yi's eyes lit up, and a person appeared in his mind. Exactly, after copying the route, there should be some leftovers except for the account of the guards. This research fund is also available, but it can be put on the agenda. You're not in a hurry. Seeing Bai Yi walking forward leisurely, Tsunade sneered beside him. Making his subordinates so nervous, the captain of the guard was very calm. That's the route. The combat power is even higher than that of Anbu. Is he not afraid of problems with his subordinates? If they can't even handle that, don't call themselves the guard. Bai Yi said calmly. If I do everything myself, why should I be the police captain, why should I recruit my subordinates, and why should I train them? You think I'm Sarutobi Hiruzen? Do you have to be involved in trivial matters? Oh, no, not at all. When I was working hard on the battlefield, I never saw Lord Hokage, it was all of us working hard. Good to bury. Tsunade was full of admiration. If you don't tell me, I didn't find it. It seems that apart from the first ninja war, the second grandfather took my teacher to negotiate in the Land of Thunder, and he has never been seen on the battlefield again. Other shinobi shadows are obviously doing a lot better in this regard. This is the truth. When Lord Third Generation rarely leaves the village, some also go to the daimyo in the Land of Fire to cultivate a relationship with the daimyo, so as to secure his position. In the Second Ninja War, Konoha relied on Sanin and Hitaki Tsukumo. The Third Ninja War, Namikaze Minato galloped across the battlefield. Only Lord Hokage, who was personally recruited, was missing. As a high-ranking person, it is actually wise not to go to the battlefield in person. But this thing is afraid of comparison. Take a look at how old Onogi is, and every war is basically commanded on the front line. You are looking at the Third Raikage. In order to protect everyone under your command, you can fight against 10,000. Shake your head. Bai Yi was too lazy to think about these questions. I just wanted Tsunade to understand that his actions were fundamentally different from third-generation Sama. Here it is. Stop. The gentle look on Bai Yi's face has faded, replaced by the indifference when performing official duties. The team was divided into 2 rows as usual, leaving a road in the middle for Bai Yi. Captain. The route entrance and exit have been blocked, and no one has been allowed to leave. Uchiha Sanyo reported solemnly. Bai Yi nodded calmly and looked forward. There, the ninjas at the route have already dispatched their nests to block the entrance. Their attitude is obvious. Deny the guards access to the route base. Captain Bai Yi. What are the guards doing? The root leader is not there. And now, standing in front of the root ninjas is Uchiha Shisui, the filial son of Danzo. He looked puzzled, obviously not knowing what the guards were going to do. But he also heard that the guards had captured Shimura Danzo, the head of the root group, last night. The specific reason has not been clarified, but it seems to be related to a strong J case. In his view, this was a complete misunderstanding. Lord Danzo worked so hard for the village, how could he do such shameless things? Even he was ready to take the ninja at the root to the guards in a while, and negotiated with the guards to let them out. Root ninjas, they are a bunch of machines that only know how to get things done. Emotions have been wiped out. But these are the people who were raised from childhood. Ninjas like Shisui who joined in the middle and still retain their feelings seem a little out of place here. That is, Danzo was caught too suddenly last night, otherwise he would have ordered the root to attack the guards. Shisui's question was not answered by Bai Yi. Instead, Uchiha Sanyo stepped forward and let out a roar full of energy. Guards do business. Idle people wait to retreat. Under the root ninja mask, there are eyes without any emotion. The members of the guards were aware of this. Scarlet Guyu appeared in their pupils. First warning. Second warning. Third warning. Warning, equally useless. Uchiha Shanyang was furious and rushed up first. Start enforcing. It doesn't matter if you live or die. Chapter 42. Don't underestimate a man who implements his beliefs. Konoha. Root base. When Uchiha Sanyo gave the order, all the members of the guard team rushed up. As long as the guards take the attitude of enforcement, no one will stop them. Even Uchiha Itachi, who didn't want to fight his life mentor, could only grit his teeth and rush over to fight the root ninja. Itachi and Shisui's relationship is both a teacher and a friend. Even witnessing Shisui jumping into the river, Itachi can drive Mangekyo angrily. This is enough to show that the relationship between the two is not ordinary. But the guard has the rules of the guard. Being soft-hearted in the face of resistors would be regarded as collaborating with the enemy within the rules of the guard. The reason is simple. Your soft-heartedness is likely to be hurt by your companions. You want to go too. Bai Yi in the back looked to the side, Guy with a moving face. He knew why Guy wanted to join in. Since Guy joined the guard and became the guard's instructor. While responsible for training members of the guard on a daily basis. But the guards respect the strong. Not necessarily convinced that Guy can be their instructor. The reason why they cooperated to complete the exercise was because this was Bai Yi's order. To be honest, this is a world where power is supreme, and it is the same everywhere. If you want to teach these rebellious guys, your own abilities must be sufficient. Bai Yi knows Guy's strength, but others don't. Uchiha Shisui is very strong, and I'm worried that his fellow guards are not his opponents. Guy looked serious and said his thoughts. Isn't it to prove yourself? As expected of Guy, a man who can implement the purpose of self-discipline. Think about it. If this kind of emotional struggle can make Guy show his strength, then the so-called self-restraint is a joke. The reason why he chose to take action was because he was worried about his fellow guards. Go ahead, strike hard. Beat Uchiha Shisui to the death, and I can keep you safe even if you open the door to death. Bai Yi patted Guy's shoulder and said encouragingly. The brother in front of him is trying to find a way to deal with Sharingan, who can ensure that he is absolutely focused during the battle and doesn't look into the opponent's eyes. So he wasn't worried about how much Shisui's illusion could affect Guy. And the 8 inner gates are very special. After the 6th gate, the flow of chakra in the whole body is completely disrupted. It is not an easy thing to make Guy perform illusion. Beat to death. It seems that Bai Yi-san and Uchiha Shisui are having a festival. Guy glanced at the man who was leading the resistance of the root ninja in the distance, and then nodded heavily. In his view, the guards represent absolute justice. The person who blocks such a righteous teacher is obviously not a good person. A supporter of strong J criminals. Guy put his hand on his heart and ran towards Uchiha Shisui. Are you sure he is Uchiha Shisui's opponent? Tsunade on the other side looked curious. She had heard the names of Shisui and Agai. But Shisui, who became famous in 3 battles, is famous, and the man who likes to stick his teeth and give a thumbs up Grandmaster Teishu is really Shisui's opponent. Don't underestimate men who are talented and follow through on their beliefs. Bai Yi said softly. It is completely different from Xiao Li, who has opened a door in anger for 3 years and has been able to surpass the genius with hard work. In terms of physical skills, Guy's talent will definitely beat Xiao Li for several blocks. It's not that Bai Yi dislikes Xiao Li, but to a certain extent, Guy's and Xiao Li's upper limits are completely different. Bai Yi is not sure whether the current Agai can open the 8th gate, but the 7th gate can definitely do it. Restrict yourself. The man sighed softly. I thought about getting the guards to learn 8 inner gates. But apart from physical fitness, mental self-discipline they obviously can't do. What's the meaning? Tsunade was puzzled. After all, these people. If you don't go to the custom shop for 3 days, you will suffocate to death. Bai Yi explained painfully. Isn't it your fault? Tsunade rolled his eyes. I've heard that you took them to a custom shop at first, but after you found a high-quality woman, you didn't bother to go, but they became addicted. Hee. Shizune gave them a checkup yesterday, guess what? Speaking of which, Miss Tsunade looked contemptuous. 9 out of 10 people have kidney deficiency. No wonder you asked me that question in the morning. Bai Yi suddenly realized. The guards force a whirlwind. Battlefield mutation. When Agai entered the battlefield, his whole life roared into the sky. He rose into the air without the slightest politeness, and used a move very fast and then a roundabout kick. Leaf Strong Whirlwind. After joining the guard, Guy changed the name of this trick. The left and right are just enhanced roundhouse kicks, and what he wants to call is his own freedom. Shisui is not slow to respond. Having already opened the 3-hook jade, he instantly captured Guy's movements and blocked with his arms in front of his chest. A muffled sound came. Shisui only felt a force hit, and his entire body flew backwards. In the air, he quickly stabilized his body, and before he could see the situation clearly, Guy's elbows came one after another. Guard's bad Yansheng. The sore arms that had just been kicked were not used to it, so they were forced to take a blow. This guy is so powerful. In a hurry, he was attacked again. He turned somersaults in the air, pulled out the dagger behind his back and inserted it into the ground, and finally stabilized his body. Did you draw the knife? Guy nodded, and also took out a nunchaku called Shuangxia. Everyone belongs to the same village, why do you have to do this? Shisui gritted his teeth and said. I don't want to do anything to myself. This is not in line with his purpose. In his opinion, anyone in a village is a companion who can be unconditionally trusted. Whether it is Uchiha, Konoha, or even the guards, they are all a community. Why do we have to fight each other? Please see what you are talking about. Guy rushed over again. Now, you are leading people to resist the guards. Obstructing the guards' law enforcement. It is not that we are going to fight with you, but you are fighting with us. The nunchaku and the sword are intertwined. With Guy's skilled attacks, even Shisui with Sharingan turned on was a little overwhelmed. He wanted to refute Agai's words. But I can't think of anything to say. Yes. Now the people at the route are resisting the guards. But they are also instructed to do things. Lord Danzo has instructed that no one other than him will be allowed to enter the base of the route without authorization. Talking is useless. Now that you have started, let these people quiet down. Shisui took a deep breath and froze. The pupil power spreads instantly. He is extremely confident in his illusions. Even if he only saw his own eyes for a moment, he could easily pull the other party into the illusion. But the fact is quite the opposite. When Shisui used the illusion with pride but did not bring any benefits, he was seized by Guy because of the pause in his body just now. The nunchaku snapped together and stabbed Shisui's chest hard. Bai Yi Sang said. Uchiha Shisui, gotta beat him to the death. And in this very moment. The sudden change. Can't dodge. If you are hit, you will lose your combat effectiveness at the lightest. Without combat effectiveness, you cannot stop the opponent's actions. To complete Danzo-sama's quest. Stop everyone from killing each other in the same village. Obsession exploded. The three-hook jade in the Shisui through hole spun rapidly. When the new Mangekyo emerges, a green light wraps around it. This is Susanoo's armor. Chapter 43 The Blue Beast of the Guard, such a powerful guy instructor. Konoha. Root base entrance. The battle continues. The root ninjas fought desperately. But in front of the guards who had been trained by Bai Yi for many years, it was obviously not enough to see. Originally, only the elite of the Uchiha clan had the opportunity to enter the guard. Whether it is tacit understanding or execution, it is much stronger than the root ninja. Even if the root ninjas are the elites cultivated by Danzo, and their abilities are even more bizarre, they are a little powerless in the face of the powerful Uchihas. When the people of the Uchiha clan are really serious, only the Senju clan of the Sengoku period can stop it. Now these members of the guard team have initially possessed some of the characteristics of the powerful family of the original Sengoku period. On ruthless, on life-threatening. No one is their opponent. Uchiha Kong took the lead, and he has already started the state of asking God to go to the upper body. Even if there are side effects after the event, it will be an afterthought. Now he is directly leading the charge. However, when the green light soared into the sky, the impact of that mature half-body Susanoo is undoubtedly huge. After seeing Uchiha Satoshi's Susanoo, everyone's ability to bear is not that bad, but they can easily find that Uchiha Shisui's Susanoo is stronger than Uchiha Satoshi's Susanoo, whether it is defensive or destructive. Is this Susanoo's ultimate form? Many Uchiha people are crazy. Uchiha Shisui can do it, they can do it too. And Bai Yi's existence is their confidence. The captain said that one day others will always be able to see the ultimate power of Uchiha, and this will definitely not be false. Susanoo. I didn't expect that Uchiha Shisui not only opened Mangekyo, but also did this. Tsunade frowned. The tide of battle had changed, and she thought the guards were in trouble. This is the ultimate power in the legend of the Uchiha family, don't you worry. Mei-Mu turned to Bai Yi next to him. The man remained calm, not panicked by the arrival of the green Susanoo. Yes. This man also has the Mangekyo Sharingan. I'm afraid Susanoo has already mastered it. That's nothing to worry about. Couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Don't know when it will start, although it hasn't been a long time in the guard. But she still didn't want these people to have an accident. Or because he didn't want to see Bai Yi get frustrated, it was hard to imagine what this man would look like with a disappointed look in his eyes. To Tsunade's surprise, the man's words were full of irony, scoffing at the green light. What kind of ultimate power is this? If this is the ultimate power of the Uchiha clan, then Uchiha Madara is not worthy to compete with first Hokage Senju Hashirama. Joke. A mere mature body, who doesn't even have a wing to be called Susanoo. It's like you have more powerful moves. Tsunade pursed his lips, snorted somewhat resentfully, and slapped the ground with one hand. Summoning technique. A white mist dissipated. When Katsuyu appeared, Tsunade pointed to the guardsmen who were fighting. Since, as the captain of the medical unit of the guard, she did not end up fighting, she would happily travel her responsibilities. Go and give them a hand. Katsuyu got the order, and split into small Katsuyu and fell on the shoulders of the Uchihas. It's really convenient. Bai Yi said with a sigh. With the help of Katsuyu, the members of the guard team were as excited as they had been beaten with blood. It is estimated that if the urine test was conducted at this time, there was not a drop of urine in the doping agent. There is no need to worry about the battle of the younger brothers. Bai Yi and Tsunade's eyes turned to Guy in the distance. Is it big? It turns out to be Green Youth. Guy looked dignified and stared at Susanoo's skeleton carefully. Second form. Unlike Uchiha Satoshi who just appeared to wrap his bones, Susanoo in the second form has completely defended Shisui. Green armor. At this moment, the spiral sword in his hand is spinning at a high speed. I don't want to do it with my own people. For the last time, please leave the root base. Shisui emphasized again. Bai Yi sang let me go all out, but I was worried that the impact would be too big. It now appears that your excellency is qualified to let me lift the restriction. Guy was not frightened by Shisui's exaggerated Susanoo, but took a deep breath. So. The blue beast of the guards, it's time to appear. Step by step. Guy let out a low growl. What to do with an instructor? As if attracted by the movement here, the guards and the ninjas at the route couldn't help but look over. They only saw what Guy was saying. Then he took firm steps and approached Shisui step by step. At the same time, the man who usually puts youth and self-discipline in his ears is undergoing earth-shaking changes. 8 inner gates. The first door, open the door. Brain domain restrictions, lifted. Use 100% of your physical abilities. Second gate, Hue gate. Lift the fatigue limit and enter the overload state. Third gate, Shengmen. Further increasing the attack and speed attributes, Guy's body also began to emit green light. The fourth gate, Hurt the gate. Injury to the body, enter the danger zone of 8 inner gates. The fifth gate, Duman. The speed soared further. At this moment, Guy's every step he took would drive the air on the ground around him, and the feeling of oppression rose into the sky. The sixth gate, the View gate. Entering the buffer period, when needed, the combat power can be fully activated in an instant. Unlock the peacock successfully. But Guy didn't stop. Since it says to go all out, then be the strongest now. Yes, Bai Yi guessed right, it is still a long time before Naruto graduates from the 4th Ninja World War, and now he has not practiced enough to open the 8th gate. But, 8 inner gates. The green glow disappeared, replaced by blue steam. The blue beasts of the guards are here. When the terrifying breath rose to the sky, the members of the guard are all stupid. Even if the breath is not facing them, they have an indescribable sense of oppression. Is this still the unremarkable Guy instructor? What happened? In the center of the battlefield, Uchiha Shisui has the most intuitive feeling. What he faced seemed to be no longer a person, but an extremely dangerous beast. Whoosh. No nonsense. Opening the 7th gate is already draining his stamina, and it will be extremely painful even if he touches it after it is lifted. He must cherish his time. The countdown to the battle has already started when the 7th gate is opened. Like a spring, Guy's body instantly disappeared in place. The next moment, he had already punched into the sky and hit the Susanoo armor in the second form. Click. There was a cracking sound. Shisui controlled Susanoo to keep going backwards, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. What maintains Susanoo is its own pupil power, and when Susanoo is severely impacted or even broken, the people inside will never feel better. For example, Sasuke, who made a big noise in the 5 Shadows talks, has a very intuitive feeling. One punch is not enough. Guy keeps moving. He slammed his fist on Susanoo hard. Every time it attacked, it caused a sonic boom in the air. An appalling thing happened. That green light actually began to collapse, and the sound of shattering continued. Finally, under Guy's violent attack, the entire Susanoo completely collapsed. And at the moment when Susanoo shattered, his own body appeared in front of Uchiha Shisui and suffocated with another punch. Like a diamond hammer smashing into the ground, the violent tremor made the entire base of the root tremble. With a powerful punch in exchange for opening the 7th gate, he promises that not even Uchiha Shisui will be safe. Do not move. Sitting on Shisui, with blue steam emitting from his body, Guy stared at Shisui with the glowing whites of his eyes. Victory and defeat. Guards, do justice. Uchiha's eyes were horrified and their hearts were full of shock. Their Guy instructor is so tough. Chapter 44. A business trip, the 3rd generation's plan. Konoha. Root base. The fight follows Guy's strong attack, leaving Uchiha Shisui unconscious. It's completely over. Captain, what's next? Uchiha Sanyo respectfully came over and asked. Do you need to ask me? Bai Yi raised his eyebrows and waved his hand indifferently. Someone obstructs law enforcement, what should I do according to the regulations? Depending on the seriousness of the circumstances, the detention ranges from 1 to 3 months. Uchiha Shanyang looked solemn. The Uchiha Guard has written rules for this. Especially for these rebels, it is written more clearly. This is related to the majesty of the guards, so the punishment is more serious. In addition to detention, there will be a series of measures such as corresponding fines. It's not worth it. Bai Yi said as he should. In a while, you took someone to copy Danzo's house. I reckon Danzo has other crimes besides the strong J Sarutobi Bawako. Copy home. Uchiha Shanyang suddenly came to the spirit. Bai Yi didn't talk nonsense, and walked to Guy's side step by step. Now that he has lifted the 8 inner gates, he is shivering with pain. 8 inner gates are strong. The short-term stimulation of the body's potential brings incomparably powerful combat power, but the side effects are also extremely obvious. Bai Yi sang. A guy shivered, wanting to say something. Bai Yi shook his head, motioned him not to speak, and placed one hand on Guy's forehead. When the huge vitality flowed into his Guy's body, just a few breaths, Guy's side effects from using 8 inner gates had disappeared. This is. Standing up in shock, Guy met Bai Yi's eyes. The scarlet eerie pattern is slowly turning. Obviously, this man just now is controlling an incomprehensible power. But he didn't ask. Especially when it comes to the secrets of the Uchiha clan. Bai Yi smiled, but did not explain. After all, his pupil technique is a bit complicated. For example, the reincarnation of the ban is just one of these powers. Don't say that Guy is only opening the 7th gate now. Even if he opens the 8th gate, Bai Yi can make Guy's depleted body rejuvenate. This power is similar to Ashura's Yang escape, but different. Okay, let's go back to the team. Patting Guy on the shoulder, Bai Yi pulled the bewildered Tsunade beside him and turned to leave. Are you going to be alright for a while? Do you have time for a business trip with me? Bai Yi has always been someone who thinks about it and wants to do it, especially after watching the members of the guard team start running again. It really hurts him. On business trip. Tsunade was stunned. She had no idea what it meant. But in the end, he nodded and chose to accompany him. Katsuyu is also wearing a conscientious squat on the shoulders of the guards, and these simple injuries do not need her to be treated. Office hours are over. Bai Yi walked side by side with Tsunade leisurely towards the Konoha village entrance. As he walked, he pondered a question. According to the current timeline, a certain scientific researcher who was targeted by him should not have completely settled in Yan'an village. Then his whereabouts are not so difficult to figure out. After all, even after leaving Konoha, Orochimaru and Danzo are still connected. The proof is that in the future Danzo's arm full of Sharingan was provided by Orochimaru. And last night, in order to interrogate Danzo, Uchiha Kong used all kinds of props, which naturally caused Danzo to spit out something. Interrogation, those guys are professional. Illusions, punishments are endless. Otherwise he wouldn't have seen Danzo so emotional when he came in the morning. However, Uchiha Kong's ability to understand is limited, and the contact information of Orochimaru spit out from Danzo's mouth was regarded as unimportant by him. Flip through Danzo's confession. After a while, I finally found a clue. Is there a cave adjacent to the land of fire and the land of rain? Bai Yi pulled Tsunade with a bright smile. His chakra-powered police bike is on the way. Just when Bai Yi and Tsunade were on a business trip at official expense. Konoha. Inside the Hokage building. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the report in his hand, lost in thought. Naturally, what happened in the village could not be hidden from him. Especially Bai Yi broke into the route with great fanfare, and didn't want to hide it from others. So third generation knew about it very quickly. But he didn't send anyone to stop it. The reason is simple. First, he himself was a little dissatisfied with Danzo's behavior of cultivating his own power. With Bai Yi's power to weaken the root, it was only good for him. Second, that D Danzo gave him a green hat. He can't wait for his roots to be wiped out, and he can't wait to make Danzo even worse. So he didn't let anyone come forward, and he even hid behind to watch the show. But as an old yin, when he looks at things, he always thinks otherwise. Everyone is lamenting that the guards enforce the law against them, and everyone is praising the guards for being selfless. Everyone is talking about his Hokage being cuckolded. But that's not the point. Sarutobi Hiruzen, he moved from the guard and downplayed the fact that he captured all the ninjas at the root. He saw something else. The guards are well used, and the power is so great. Sarutobi was moved. His heart suddenly burned with a strong ambition. If you own a guard, who dares to resist themselves? Anyone who violates the regulations will be arrested directly at the door. For the first time, he felt that the authority of the guards was even more exaggerated than his Hokage. Violating the rules. To Sarutobi, that was just an excuse. There are ways to buckle the hat. Even arresting people to assist in the investigation would be an invisible deterrent. But right now, the third generation naturally couldn't control the guard team. As long as Bai Yi was there, the guard team couldn't let him be dispatched. But that doesn't get in the way. What he values is the power of the guard. It is also absolutely not allowed to allow the guards to be the dominant family. So he has a new idea. Konoha Village Management Team. When Sarutobi Hiruzen's eldest son, Sarutobi Shinosuke came to the office and looked at the documents his father handed him, he asked in surprise. Well, I don't worry about handing this position to others. You should also know that Uchiha Bai Yi is now trolling the guards. As a Hokage, the old man will never allow him to abuse his power. Sarutobi said with a solemn expression. But even in front of his own son, he still didn't say that he was just jealous of the authority of the guard and wanted to divide the power of the guard. There are always excuses for the old yin to do things. And this position, handed over to his son, he is very relieved. I see. Father, don't worry, leave this to me, and I will definitely make your control over the village to a higher level. Sarutobi Shinosuke was excited. Captain of the guard. Seeing Bai Yi pretending all day, he was already envious. Now that there is another chance, how can he refuse? That's it. Starting today. He, Sarutobi Shinosuke, is the captain of the first-generation Konoha Village Management Team. Chapter 45. Are you here to arrest me? Ninja World. In the Land of Fire. Before noon, the sun is not enough. Mixed with the breeze, with a different kind of cool. Bai Yi was walking on the tree-lined path, feeling extremely peaceful. Sometimes people's moods are different. As now, Bai Yi is enjoying the feeling of walking in the forest. In particular, the two different girls on the left and the right can appreciate it, making the journey full of meaning. So, are you really looking for that Orochimaru guy? Mitarashi Anko muttered. When she returned to the village on a mission. Just happened to meet Tsunade and Bai Yi who came out of Konoha. After chatting for a while, Bai Yi and Anko talked, so she followed suit. What kind of feelings do you have for Orochimaru? Bai Yi's eyes moved slightly as he looked at Anko and said. Teachers and students love. Or is it unreconciled that Orochimaru defected without taking her with her? Although there is no fat Anko figure, the looks are considered to be classy. And Bai Yi really likes pretty girls and wants to put them in his mansion. But this does not mean that Bai Yi is interested in women who yearn for other men in their hearts. Especially Anko's. If she clearly shows that she has an idea for Orochimaru, then Bai Yi is too lazy to cultivate any feelings, let alone transfer her yearning for Orochimaru to himself. It is even more impossible to help her remodel her body a little to avoid becoming a tank in the future. In other words, for a person like him, only a girl can lick him. Want him to laboriously lick someone else? Stop dreaming. Such is the strong self-discipline. He only pampers the woman who loves him, and will never lean forward when he sees a woman. Even Tsunade, who had gathered beside Bai Yi himself, insisted on staying at his house. Of course, taking captive maids or something is another matter. It was his Uchiha Bai Yi's private property after all. There's no emotion, I just want to ask him a question. If you want to say it, is it counted if you want to kill him? Anko said blankly. You hate him so much. Tsunade was a little surprised. Although Orochimaru defected, she knew her teammates well for so many years before, so she should not be the kind of man who provokes women. Saying this, Tsunade gave Baiyi a sneer. To talk about provoking women, this aspect of promiscuity. This guy is second to none, simply not a person. After all, not everyone can do it, even the surviving. It's a little complicated here. Anko thought about it and continued. You can put yourself in your shoes and think about it. For example, your teacher, our Lord Third Hokage, would you be very angry if he used you up and left you to fend for himself? Even before your teacher left, he installed a detonating charm on you that could explode at any time. Would you like to kill him? What's more, you know that this detonating talisman is burning, but you can't put it out. Yes. In Anko's mind it was like that. At the beginning, Orochimaru became the teacher of Mitarashi Anko. As a disciple, Anko did many things for Orochimaru, and even helped to complete some related experiments. This also directly led to the fact that after Orochimaru's defection, she faced Anbu's inspection and various cross-examinations alone. Orochimaru walks dashingly, but it is herself who suffers. Besides, touched his neck. Anko has a bitter face. The curse of heaven. Still unfinished. She takes Orochimaru as a teacher, but Orochimaru doesn't see her as a person at all. You are just an experiment. This unfinished celestial sigil will only bring pain when her chakra flows, and every time she feels the pain of Orochimaru's malice. The curse of the sky. A scientific experiment that absorbs natural energy using the power of Shigego as a medium. It was Orochimaru who had this genius idea, and it worked. In fact, every curse mark is a backhand left by Orochimaru for himself. Baiyi glanced at it and retracted his gaze, and at the same time put away 8 trigram's thoughts. It turned out that he wanted to kill Orochimaru to add to the fun. Come to think of it, Orochimaru didn't bring Anko with him because he thought that Anko would be safer in Konoha than by his side, so that even if he was killed in the future, he could use the opportunity to be resurrected through the curse of the sky. Really good calculation. Orochimaru is really pervert. After Tsunade listened to Anko's explanation, he took a final draw but held a negative attitude. But if you want to say which teacher is more pervert, your teacher is definitely not as good as my teacher. My teacher can attack my teacher and my disciple's family, can your teacher do it? Anko was taken aback. Then he looked at Tsunade with a strange look for a long time. Finally, he let out a suffocating breath, and his eyes on Tsunade even got a lot closer. She is not a fool. Otherwise, when Orochimaru did not defect, he would not have become the assistant of the other party's experiment. So, she heard a lot from Tsunade's words. She didn't know why Tsunade told herself. Probably sees that he has no sense of belonging to Konoha. Too lazy to go, Anko spoke quietly. Although I really want to refute you, my teacher really didn't do anything to his teacher's family. But what is certain is that our teachers are not good things. There's nothing wrong with that. Tsunade nodded in agreement, but instead of talking to Anko about her condition, she leaned over to Baiyi and muttered. I asked you, it's pure, let's go. I'm going to FKU. Baiyi rolled his eyes, too lazy to talk nonsense with Tsunade. The journey continues. At noon. The 3 Baiyi came to a hidden cave. Glancing at the map in his hand, he led the 2 daughters and walked in. It's dark inside the cave. But after going deeper, it becomes brighter. The lights flickered on both sides of the road, very much like the stronghold where Commander lived when he followed Orochimaru in the original book. It's really rare. At the end of the passage, a room had its door open. When they stepped in, a man inside was wearing a black robe, but in the middle of the robe was a fiery red cloud. At this moment, several people can only see his back. And he himself is fiddling with bottles and cans, and he is not worried that the people behind him will shoot him. His voice was hoarse and recognizable. I didn't expect you to come here. Tsunade, Anko, Leng Jun Orochimaru. When he slowly turned his head and looked at him with sharp and cold eyes, the vertical pupil that was visible to the naked eye suddenly shrank. There was a problem with his own perception. 3 people. Not the 2 expected. He is Uchiha Baiyi. Konoha Guard Captain. Eyes flicker. Lang Jun Orochimaru stared at Bai Yi and spoke slowly. "Oh, Lord Bai Yi, are you here to arrest me?" Chapter 46. He decided to beat Orochimaru first. Fire Country. An unknown cave. When Orochimaru asked this sentence, the atmosphere clearly became depressed. Bai Yi and Tsunade didn't care about this. On the contrary, Anko gnashed his teeth and looked at each other with mixed hatred in his eyes. Mr. Snake knows exactly what happened to Konoha. Bai Yi didn't care about Orochimaru's feelings at all, and found the most comfortable place to sit down. He is accustomed to enjoying life, and he has a poor perception of the stronghold in the cave. "That's my chair." Glancing under Bai Yi, Orochimaru reminded kindly. This is the equivalent of taking an oath of sovereignty. But Bai Yi didn't take it seriously. Instead, he waved his hand, and Anko's body flew uncontrollably in front of Bai Yi. "What means is this?" Orochimaru's expression froze. Gravitational repulsion. Why doesn't he feel any chakra fluctuations? "Well, said he brought you here, you're going to kill him, right?" Pulling Anko's arm, Bai Yi put his other hand on her neck. When the hot breath hit, the curse of the day began to spin rapidly in front of everyone. When the searing power dissipates, Anko only felt lightness in his body, and then looked at Bai Yi in disbelief. The curse of the sky left by Orochimaru, which made the entire Konoha Seal class unable to do anything, was lifted so easily. "Mr. Bai Yi, destroying other people's treasures, you have to say hello in advance, right?" Orochimaru's eyes changed. He didn't hide his murderous intent at all. "Just kidding, didn't I destroy it in your face? This is not a greeting." Bai Yi casually matched a sentence. "Orochimaru has a murderous aura." The turbulent breath instantly locked Orochimaru, and in less than a second, he was suppressed to the ground by the invisible force, unable to move. "Be quiet for a while, I'll be answering your questions in a moment." Glancing at Orochimaru again, Bai Yi's unwavering eyes only prove one thing, and that is that if you move again, there will be a price to pay. And it's a price you can't bear. I advise you to listen to him. Tsunade winked mischievously, echoing Bai Yi's words. "And you can rest assured that the captain of the guard only cares about those who violate the regulations in the village. Now we are on a business trip. In other words, if you don't mess with him, you won't die." Orochimaru's face was gloomy. He wanted to do something but couldn't move. "You're so well informed, don't you know that even Raikage broke his limbs on the spot? Don't think about resisting, it's for your own good." Shaking his head, Tsunade felt that he had done his best. After all, they were only teammates at the beginning, and now the other party has defected to Konoha, so it is not bad to say this. Anko glanced at Bai Yi gratefully. "Don't worry, thank you." Bai Yi smiled slightly. "I did it for 2 reasons. First, you are Hong's good friend after all. It's okay to make a move on her face, but that's not the main reason. Second, on the way you came, you said you wanted to kill Orochimaru, but it's difficult to do it at your current level, so I'll give you a chance. You also saw that Mr. Snake doesn't seem to want to sit down and have a good chat with me. Now, I need you to make Mr. Snake better, but don't kill him." "Well, forget it, it's okay to kill him, I'll just revive him." "Too lazy to do it yourself." Tsunade next to him was speechless. She had seen Bai Yi's unpredictable resurrection method. Bai Yi did this probably because he wanted Orochimaru to experience cruelty and then cooperate with him obediently. After all, for a person like Orochimaru, if you don't completely conquer him, it is very likely that a knife will come to you in the back. This can also be seen from the change in Orochimaru's attitude just now. Bai Yi snapped his fingers and released the restraint on Orochimaru. "Mr. Bai Yi, you are indeed very strong. But you think my experiment can defeat me in reverse?" Orochimaru got up slowly, and looked at Bai Yi with uncertain eyes. The power just now made him unable to resist at all. That is something unknown. As a scientist, he looked at Bai Yi as if he was looking at a treasure trove. As for what Lord Bai Yi said, kill first, then resurrect. Orochimaru has a disdainful face. He has been in the technology industry for decades, and he knows the resurrection technology well. So he obviously didn't feel that Uchiha Baiyi had any means of resurrecting others. Naoki was resurrected by him. Tsunade spoke suddenly. Not impure world reincarnation, but true resurrection. So your problems will be solved in a while, and I have some questions to ask you. It's about Naoki. That's why when she learned that Baiyi was coming to Orochimaru, she decided to follow him. True resurrection. Was he resurrected or Naoki who died in the Second Ninja World War? Orochimaru was stunned. He looked at Baiyi dumbfounded. Could this kid be traveling by himself? Scientists are excited. Since he set foot on this path, there has been no one with whom he can communicate. Now suddenly there is a man who has also studied the mysteries of life. How can he not be excited? Unfortunately, he had just been excited for a few seconds when a figure flashed in front of him. Anko stared at him with angry eyes. And her fist had already hit Orochimaru's face. She's in a bad state. Orochimaru, who was thrown out by a punch, looked at Anko in shock. Breath, strength, chakra volume. This Anko in front of me looks like a human-tailed beast. How did Uchiha Baiyi do it? Did he feed Anko anything? Go out and wait, I don't like dark environments very much. Baiyi yawned, not interested in the life and death fight between Anko and Orochimaru. For him, it is not difficult to give a person powerful strength for a short period of time. It is enough to leave a little seed of strength in the other person's body. Of course, this stuff comes at a price. For example, Guy's 8 inner gates. However, this price will be neutralized by the energy of the heavenly curse seal that Baiyi dispels. So in simple terms, the current Anko is equivalent to burning the curse mark, and under the control of Baiyi's power, he briefly obtained great power. Judging from Orochimaru's attitude towards himself just now, it is obviously not a good time to talk about business. No matter what he thinks, let's beat him first. Beaten up. It's time to get down to business. He only likes to make friends with obedient people. Chapter 47. The establishment of the Village Management Brigade, a conflict that is imminent. Fire Country. The exit of an unknown cave. The time came to afternoon. Baiyi has set up the grill, and the aroma of the grilled meat on it is extremely attractive. And Tsunade drank tons of Baiyi's wine gourd. He is keen to enjoy life, and obviously did not take this business trip as the main purpose. Just like finding Tsunade to serve as the medical captain of the guard force last time, it was just a matter of taking a leisurely trip. So now that it's out, it's not bad to have a barbecue. Such a pity. Picking up the wine gourd that Tsunade had just drunk, Baiyi sighed slightly after taking a sip. What a pity. Tsunade looked slightly drunk, looking to become a crime tool for the indirect kiss between the two parties. Is this guy taking advantage of it? Not right either. This wine gourd originally belonged to Baiyi, and if he insisted, he was taking advantage of Baiyi. Of course, it's a pity that you can't enjoy the field treatment when you come to the wild. Baiyi shook his head, but didn't explain the problem. After a full meal at noon, I will always think of some strange things when I eat and drink. But then again, you are really resistant to beatings. When the conversation changed, Baiyi looked at the man who finished playing dead on the ground and moved his fingers to stand up again in surprise. Perhaps in the entire ninja world, Orochimaru is not the top fighting group. But his life-saving ability is really top-notch. Anko vented for hours. This didn't kill Orochimaru completely. But this saves Baiyi using Sharingan's pupil technique to resurrect the opponent. So, Lord Baiyi wants me to help you make this thing. After calming down, Orochimaru glanced at the blueprint in his hand with a hoarse voice. Chakra-powered motorcycle. He took a general look just now, and couldn't help but admire Baiyi's genius idea. This thing is not difficult, it is the thing called chakra battery that is difficult. Absorb chakra to recharge, then mobilize when needed. After all, it's hard to have anything that can be a carrier of chakra. But it's not impossible to conquer. The main thing is that Orochimaru doesn't think it's very useful. Since chakra is the core strength, only ninjas can use it, and it is difficult for ordinary people to control. And this thing has been researched, and it is estimated that it will be very noisy when it is started. Although the speed is fast, it has obvious shortcomings. As a ninja, hiding your breath is the most important thing. No one chooses to expose themselves when they are on the road. He really doesn't know what Byujibo Baiyi means by making this police motorcycle. I need time. But after thinking about it, Orochimaru hoarsely responded. Also, Jun Baiyi wants to cooperate with me next time, no need to let Anko hit me. Some things are not Orochimaru will not. But he put his limited life on the road of exploring immortality. For him, only after immortality can he have a lot of time to study all ninjutsu. That was his pursuit. On the path he chooses, it doesn't matter who or what. Perhaps the only remaining obsession is the denial of his teacher once. He wanted to kill Konoha on the day he succeeded and ask Sarutobi if he would regret his choice. But now it seems. With this existence in Konoha, his teacher must have a headache, right? Stare at Baiyi carefully. Orochimaru released his sentience cautiously. In an instant, that creepy feeling reappeared, and he was startled in a cold sweat. And Baiyi glanced at Orochimaru with a half-smile. How long does it take to make a sample? Don't worry, money is not a problem. You're probably going to buy your own base, right? The country of Tien, the village of sound and ninja. Orochimaru's final stronghold after breaking away from Akatsuki. Over the years, he should have been accumulating his wealth in order to bribe the name of Tien Zidwo. Jun Baiyi doesn't seem to care about cooperating with me, a rebel. Orochimaru didn't answer in a hurry, but asked tentatively. Everyone in the ninja world knows that Orochimaru is a Konoha S-level rebel ninja, and a rebel ninja doing business with the captain of the guard is obviously a bit unexpected. This is outside the village. Baiyi's face was indifferent. A self-disciplined captain of the guard would not run around in the ninja world to attract hatred to himself. He is only responsible for the affairs of the village. And you betrayed Konoha, not me. It seems that the captain of the guard does not have such a strong sense of belonging to Konoha. Orochimaru smiled weirdly, thinking about it right. Sooner or later the Uchiha clan and the senior Konoha will have a big problem. The position of the captain of the guard looks embarrassing. 3 days, I took over this business. Fire country. Konoha. In the past few days, a major event has occurred that shocked everyone. Son of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sarutobi Shinosuke strongly announced the establishment of a new division. And the proposal was quickly approved by the third generation as Hokage. Konoha Village Tube Brigade. The captain is Sarutobi Shinosuke himself. On the first day the news was announced, the village management brigade recruited enough people. The weird thing is, same with the Uchiha Guard. The people recruited by the village management brigade are basically the elites of the Sarutobi clan, and they have turned into a sharp knife as if they had become Sarutobi's private soldiers. Other than that, the regulations of the village management brigade are almost similar to those of the guard. Even the second day after the establishment of the department, it began to collect protection fees from Konoha merchants. Be it policies, regulations, functions. There is some overlap between the village management brigade and the guard team. Anyone can see that this is Hokage's authority to sanction the guards. It's good to have Hokage standing behind him. Because no matter what proposal the village management team submits, it will be passed quickly. On the other hand, the guards need to review layers by layer, or even deliberately disapprove. Is Hokage completely messing with the guards? With the support of Hokage, the village management team has developed extremely rapidly. 3 days. In just 3 days, the village management team has completely established a firm foothold in Konoha. Countless people are waiting for the next move from both sides. All eyes turn to the guards. After all, the appearance of the village management brigade is tantamount to provoking the status of the guards. They were all waiting for a counterattack from the guards. But unfortunately, after 3 days, the guards didn't seem to be affected, and they did what they had to do. Training, patrolling, visiting custom shops. The 3.1 line life is very regular. Everything is still so familiar. But today, things seem to have changed. This person, I have protected this person in the name of the village chief. A commercial street. Sarutobi Shinosuke spoke proudly, pointing his finger at a certain criminal being held by Satoshi Uchiha. Follow his words. The members of the village management team immediately surrounded the third squad of the guard. Chapter 48. The captain is back. Fire Country. Konoha. With the confrontation between the two sides, many villagers and ninjas looked over. This is the first confrontation between the guard's village management brigade. They were also curious to know how it turned out. However, privately, many businesses still hope that the guards can ultimately maintain their victory. The reason is simple. The protection fee charged by the village management brigade is higher than that of the guard. And it's compulsory. It is completely different from the voluntary surrender of the guards, and the attitude is extremely tough. More than that, the contents written in the regulations of the village management brigade changed their faces directly after paying the money. Naturally, the protection fee cannot be paid in vain. Some curious villagers wanted to see if the village management brigade could enforce the law with the same impartiality as the guards, so when they were in trouble, they once found people from the village management brigade. But what makes people angry is that those people simply don't do anything with money. Even if the work efficiency is still very poor. Even the most dissatisfied of the villagers is that the people in the village management team still value the identity of the felon. If someone who has a private education with them makes a mistake, they will only criticize them verbally. This is exactly the appearance of an adjutant guarding each other. Then what's the point of the establishment of this village management brigade? As it is now, the person arrested by the guards was Sarutobi Asuma, his younger brother, Sarutobi Shinosuke. It stands to reason that since Asuma was brought home by Sarutobi last time, he should leave the village soon to find the jade he longed for. But this is not the case. After being banned from contact with Uchiha, the kid would get drunk in the tavern from time to time. If you drink too much today, you will be mad and not give money. In this regard, Uchiha Satoshi didn't care that the other party was the son of Hokage, and arrested him directly on the street. So naturally, Asuma shouted out that his father is Hokage and his brother is the captain of the village management team. Obvious. The last time he was caught in the guard, this kid didn't have a long memory. The standoff continued. The third squad of the guards was surrounded. But Uchiha Satoshi didn't panic, and even slapped Sarutobi Asuma in front of Sarutobi Shinosuke. The provocation is beyond words. Don't the guards know that the establishment of the village management brigade is a threat to themselves? Apparently new. But the current guard is not the arrogant and domineering rogue army that once was. After Bai Yi became the captain, the first order was a ban. Now Bai Yi is out. They won't do anything until they get Bai Yi's order. Even if you are not happy, you are patient. Acting privately will make Captain Bai Yi unhappy. Never put the cart before the horse because of trivial matters. My dad is Hokage. How dare you hit me? The drunk Sarutobi Asuma looked at Uchiha Satoshi angrily. He could be held tightly, unable to break free to fight back. Uchiha Satoshi didn't even want to talk nonsense with Asuma, just spit out 2 words and let Asuma break the defense directly. What if your father is Hokage? Nawaki, who had just been officially transferred from the reserve, was reluctant. He looked at Sarutobi Asuma dissatisfied. Your father is Hokage, so you can eat and drink in a pub and make trouble. What an insult to the word son of Hokage. What happened to your father Hokage? My eldest grandfather is the god of ninjas, my second grandfather is the fastest speed in the ninja world, and they are all Hokage. Did I say it everywhere? Hey, didn't you hear what the captain said? I said, I will protect this person. Ahead, perhaps feeling that his existence is somewhat disrespected, Sarutobi Shinosuke re-emphasized dissatisfaction. His dad is Hokage too. Ha ha. Uchiha Satoshi sneered. You protect. You deserve it. Are you ready to protect your brother's head? Do you want me to pry it open to see if it contains shit? since the captain has standardized the guard's regulations and formulated a Konoha management plan. We, the members of the guard, took the oath under the ordinance. With nostalgia in his eyes, Uchiha Satoshi raised his head. According to the captain's words, the guards only have 3 things in Konoha: fair, or F**************** G fair. Don't say you are a son of Hokage. Even if Hokage dares to eat and drink for free under the protection of our guards, he has to take it away from me. The squad leader is tough enough today. The members of the 3rd squad looked adored. These days they have been enduring the provocation of the village management brigade. Is it important to fight back today? Is this going to be a direct conflict? Uchiha Itachi stood next to Naoki with a very solemn expression. If he had dealt with criminals before, he had no pressure as an undercover agent, but today he has to deal with his own people. And it's a department supported by Hokage-sama. Do you want to release water? As an undercover agent, Uchiha Itachi must have his own consciousness. Don't worry, Itachi, I will protect you. Seeing that Itachi was in a wrong state, Naoki naturally stood in front of Itachi. Sometimes I envy this guy. Itachi sighed slightly. I don't want to think about anything, and I live so fulfilling every day. Not everyone can live like Mr. Tree. Captain, don't you need to report this to Vice Captain Shanyang first? I suggest requesting support. Beside him, members of the 3rd team cautiously approached Uchiha Satoshi and reminded him. Although they are not afraid. But now the village management brigade is obviously prepared, and the number of people is much larger than them. In this case, requesting support is the most correct. Need not. These people are finished. Uchiha Satoshi raised his head slowly, staring in one direction. A strange humming sound came from far and near. Because, the captain has returned. Orochimaru's sample product, the running in of the engine is almost meaningless. So, when Bai Yi pushed chakra into the engine, the 1st generation police motorcycle hummed violently, exploding in the air like a thunderbolt. At the same time, countless people raised their heads. From the reflections in their pupils, a shocking scene was discovered. A violent dust appeared behind a strange machine, and the whole machine roared like a beast. Dark appearance, pull the wind design. There is a sense of difference far beyond the current era. And Uchiha Bai Yi, sitting on it with a face full of excitement. In front of the machine, is the beloved Tsunade from Konoha village. At this moment, her face was reddish and she was leaning against Bai Yi's arms. She was very uncomfortable being held by the gun. But this kind of leap-like rush made her feel stimulated. And behind Bai Yi, is Mitarashi Anko holding his waist. She was obviously more generous than Tsunade, and looked down just as excitedly as Bai Yi. Boom. The earth trembled. When the 1st generation police motorcycle hums. Pretty boy is shining. Chapter 49 Conflict. It was nothing but a farce in his eyes. Konoha Street. Tsunade has a pretty face. When the police motorcycle stopped, she hurriedly jumped off in front of Bai Yi. I told you to sit in the back. Bai Yi sat on the motorcycle very calmly and bent over. There is no way, it is probably very revealing not to bend down under the talent. It's not good in public. This is the case. After all, there are no regular roads in the land of fire, so the road is really bumpy. Naturally, Tsunade, who was sitting in front of Bai Yi, was out of luck. If it wasn't for Bai Yi's scruples that Anko was still behind him, he might have pushed Tsunade into the car on the way. Tsunade gritted his teeth. Riding this kind of thing together, sitting in the back is estimated to be taken advantage of. Especially this fellow who has to suddenly slow down from time to time, that kind of thing is indispensable. But this time, she was really at a loss for being dumb. Mitarashi Anko's little face was also red, but she was more excited. This kind of thing, a motorcycle, I want to do it next time after sitting once. Very exciting. Sarah, it's your turn. The 2 women got out of the car. Bai Yi calmed down a bit, turned the accelerator and flicked his tail on the spot, looking at the ninjas facing each other in front of him. Team leader. Uchiha Kong was very clever, and quickly ran over and shouted respectfully. Then he looked at the mount under Bai Yi's crotch in shock. So handsome. Is this what the captain got on a business trip? Don't look at it, the guards will always have this thing on their trips in the future. Bai Yi said calmly. But yours doesn't have my pull. The first-generation captain mount is naturally different. Whether it is the size or the loudness of the engine, it is not comparable to the standing team members. Orochimaru is a genius. It took only 3 days to successfully study what was on the drawing. Of course, the premise is that there is Bai Yi pointing by the side, and the material is sufficient. So, I didn't come back for 3 days, and a village management team appeared. Bai Yi looked at Sarutobi Shinosuke playfully. In the original book, the kid died shortly after giving birth to Sarutobi Konohamaru. Cause of death unknown. Now it turned out to be the third generation's knife against the guards. Uchiha Bai Yi. Sarutobi Shinosuke looked at Bai Yi coldly. He is no stranger to Bai Yi's existence, and every time he sees the guards dispatched, he is very envious of Bai Yi's wave of hands as if he is in control of everything. Be him, replace him. Now I have done it. The captain of the village management team. Bai Yi laughed, only feeling that the other party's behavior was a little naive. Sarutobi seems to think that he is coveting authority to make the guards like this. This is a big misunderstanding. The guard is strong, not because of those authority. In recent days, he has also wanted to understand. In the original book, the guard team became like that because of the lack of an absolute powerhouse. If you are not strong enough, I am afraid it will be difficult to change the guard team so thoroughly. At most, it's just people wearing small shoes. And now, he is strong, and the guard is strong. With him, the guard has a soul. Sarutobi never understood this. After all, the world speaks with fists. Compared with those intrigues, Bai Yi only believes in his own fists. He's not one of those stupid people with strength and low profile. Strong. It's his behavior and his character. Does Sarutobi feel that the establishment of the village management brigade, an official department similar to the guards, will allow him to block himself and share the rights that originally belonged to the guards? Or do you think you dare not touch the other person? Take away your own authority. Wrong. All wrong. As long as he is here, no one can shake the status of the guard. After 3 days of walking, someone broke my rules. Bai Yi looked indifferent, looking at Sarutobi Shinosuke without any emotional fluctuations. Sarutobi Shinosuke, and the village management brigade, shield the criminals. As a law enforcement officer, knowing the law and committing a crime is one more class. It is an unforgivable crime to charge merchants illegal fees without the permission of the guards. This act seriously undermines the Konoha management regulations. As if thinking of something, he paused and spoke again. Charge for protection. Have you asked me about the guards? Uchiha Satoshi, I should have said that. No one can break my rules without paying the price. Order. Just wait for the captain's words. Uchiha Satoshi, the captain of the 3rd Division, was full of excitement. It's been 3 days, and the brothers are all suffocating. Guards do business. Idle people wait to retreat. It doesn't matter if you resist law enforcement. With a loud roar, Uchiha Kong's eyes twirled rapidly, and then instantly turned into a weird Mangekyo pattern. Black armor appeared around him. When the huge Susanoo smashed over with a sledgehammer, the members of the village management team let out a wailing. After unremitting efforts, his Susanoo master finally reached the 2nd form. Please God. But since you choose to explode. Satoshi Uchiha didn't choose to just turn on Susanoo. But after turning it on, he used his own pupil technique again. He also found out that his boss definitely has Mangekyo, otherwise it would be impossible to ask God's upper body after opening Susanoo, and his Susanoo would be plated with a layer of light gold. The battle is on. Uchiha Satoshi, who opened Susanoo, took the lead, and a one-sided situation was formed in an instant. Uchiha Clan. Deformed combat system. When the Uchiha clan started Mangekyo, especially after Susanoo, the combat power will soar in the branch line. As long as you train a little, reaching the cage level is not a problem. In this world, the power of blood is so mysterious. Bai Yi looked at everything in front of him indifferently. And Tsunade stood aside, watching all this calmly. Help the teacher's disciple. Do not make jokes. Since I got the answer I wanted from Orochimaru. She can't wait to join in and take revenge on the Sarutobi clan. Now she has begun to figure out when she will ruin her teacher's reputation. Uchiha Itachi breathed a sigh of relief. Nothing else. He and Mr. Tree were young, so they were instructed to watch the prisoner Sarutobi Asuma. And this time, the Asuma next to him was pressed to the ground by Mr. Tree after experiencing a violent struggle to no avail. Just your father is Hokage. Bang Bang slammed 2 punches into Sarutobi Asuma's face, and Naoki was still puzzled. The son of Hokage is amazing. Boom. The son of Hokage will be given asylum if he commits a crime. A shame for the descendants of Hokage. In a few moments, Sarutobi Asuma was beaten beyond recognition. Itachi's mouth twitched. He didn't know why Mr. Tree always emphasized the word Hokage. A good show has the same obsession. But there is one thing to say, with Mr. Tree's strength, Asuma's concussion can't run. Fights come and go quickly. In front of Uchiha's ultimate power, Uchiha Satoshi who opened Mangekyo Sharingan, the number of people is obviously not an important factor. Report Captain. The criminal has been arrested, please instruct. After the action, Brother Kong excitedly came to Bai Yi to report. Into the prison, close the team. Bai Yi, who was lacking in enthusiasm, directly pulled Tsunade and threw her behind him, unscrewed the accelerator, and sped away. In Bai Yi's eyes, the clash between the guards and the village management brigade, which was watched by the whole village, was nothing but a farce of a child's show, and he was not interested at all. Instead, he will have to sit in person for tomorrow's public trial. So now go home and have a good meal, and get a good night's sleep is the real business. 3 days away. He misses the lady maid and the valet at home so much now. The self-disciplined captain is on a business trip, and it is reasonable to return home after hard work to make up for a sleep, right? Skip class. Non-existent. Chapter 50 The Consciousness of the Combat Power Measurement Unit. Uchiha Madara once said, "Adults don't take children seriously." However, in Bai Yi's view, this sentence needs to be changed. No adult is serious with a child. But that doesn't mean that adults don't teach children. And once shot, must be beaten to death. Just like that ridiculous village management brigade. As long as Bai Yi is a little serious, it will fall apart. Third generation thinks that it can have the power to enforce the law, is it just those regulations? He was wrong. Regulations are always bound by the weak. The tough ones are the ones who make the rules. He didn't care at all when third generation was furious when it learned that the village management brigade had all been arrested. If you are brave, come to the guards and have a good chat with him. Don't have the guts, just hang in the Hokage throne that he is reluctant to leave and wait to die. Boom. The windy first generation guard captain's car was parked in the courtyard of the luxury manor. But what surprised Bai Yi was, in addition to the new maid Samui and the personal maid Kushina, there were 2 more people who greeted him. Under the persuasion of Samui, the 2 from Wooden Golem finally put on the exclusive dress of cat ears. At this moment, her face was blushing, and she didn't dare to look at Bai Yi. But Bai Yi's eyes weren't on her, instead he looked at the other person. Sister-in-law is this? Jumping off the motorcycle unexpectedly, Bai Yi looked at Uchiha Makoto curiously. As the nominal brother-in-law of the Uchiha family patriarch, there is nothing wrong with him calling Uchiha Makoto his sister-in-law. But speaking of it, he still has a story with his sister-in-law. The reason for the story lies in Kushina. As the whole Konoha, besides Tsunade and Bai Yi, the only person who knows Kushina's identity, she often comes to Bai Yi's manor to chat with Kushina to relieve her boredom. The 2 are very good friends. According to Kushina, when she and Kushina were expecting to give birth together, they made an agreement with each other. The content of the agreement is roughly that if the children born in the future are a boy and a girl, let them get married when they grow up and have a baby kiss. Pity. Both Sasuke and Naruto are male. But this doesn't seem to delay the chemical reaction between the two, nor does it stop them from wanting to be together. After all, Ming-Zuo pushes all his life. Well, your elder brother said that if you have time, take the time to go there. Uchiha Makoto blushed. It seemed to remind me of a certain night. She is not a swinger, but she still can't forget it. It was a sunny day, suitable for heart-to-heart talk. She is bored at home, so she always finds Kushina to chat to relieve her boredom. The two women had a deep relationship, and while chatting, they picked up Bai Yi's self-brewed high-quality liquor and drank it. After drinking too much, it is natural to stay at home overnight. Naturally, I stayed in Kushina's room. So Bai Yi, who came home from get off work that night, naturally got in. That night. Incredible. It's hard to imagine what kind of mood Bai Yi was in when he hugged the mother of the two Destiny children in surprise. Transforming into a wolf is just a basic operation. Sister-in-law has worked hard, will you stay for dinner tonight? Bai Yi smiled and made an invitation very politely. Whispering sound. Hypocritical. Kushina glanced at Bai Yi contemptuously. She knew too well the nature of this man. The invitation to dinner was false, and the vain attempt to make her cooperate with Makoto was true. This man always refuses to come. In his words, everyone scolds Sao Thief, but everyone is Sao Thief. She didn't understand, but it didn't feel like a good thing to say. This isn't it. Sasuke is still at home. Uchiha Makoto blushed even more. The first time was a misunderstanding, but the second time was obviously intentional by Uchiha Bai Yi. With such a blatant invitation from the other party, even her wife could not resist. Sister-in-law, don't do this. Bai Yi shamelessly took the initiative to grab Makoto's little hand, and then shamelessly called his sister-in-law not to do this. This man has been extremely shameless. Samui shook his head beside him and sighed that the world was getting worse, and Wooden Golem blinked, only to think that the relationship between these people was a little confusing. Simply go straight to the casino on the way back from Tsunade, otherwise Bai Yi will definitely be eliminated. Let's go, sister-in-law, I'll ask you to take a bath with Kushina. Bai Yi sincerely invites again. Makoto almost fainted, and instantly lost the strength to resist Bai Yi, allowing Bai Yi to drag him into the mansion. And Kushina was already familiar with this, and naturally followed behind. Only Samui and Wooden Golem looked at each other in disbelief. Today is destined to be a good day. Wash away the dust from the road and enjoy a sumptuous dinner. He burst into the room with a wild smile. The guards did not move much. Some people cheered, some looked sad. Konoha. Hokage office. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned and kept smoking his cigarette. Miscalculated. The idea of establishing a village management brigade and a guard team to compete against each other was declared bankrupt in just 3 days. Uchiha Bai Yi. He didn't care at all about the authority he had given to the village management brigade. He even dared to have a conflict with the village management team in front of the whole village. His eldest son had only been the village chief for 3 days before he was arrested and imprisoned, and he even brought his younger son in. How is Sarutobi not in a hurry? You must know that once you enter the interrogation room of the guards, you will not necessarily come out in good health. The verdict of Danzo's trial has come back from his undercover agent in the guard, Uchiha Itachi. His old friend, Hokage's right-hand man, Danzo, who was Hokage's assistant, was directly confiscated his tools for committing crimes. If that boy Uchiha Bai Yi did the same to his own son, wouldn't that mean that Sarutobi Hiruzen was going to end? Although there is a grandson. But that doesn't mean he doesn't mind that he suddenly loses 2 sons and 2 more daughters. He frowned. Thinking about how to deal with the guards, how to deal with Uchiha Bai Yi. Going to the guard VIP in person. He can guarantee that with the IQ of Uchiha Kong's arrogant man, he will be arrested 100%. From today's events, he has completely discovered. In Konoha, anyone who dares to provoke the guards, to provoke him Uchiha Bai Yi, will pay a heavy price. Even if it is his Hokage, the other party still won't give face. Even The other party seems to have arrested himself a long time ago, but there is no excuse. How dare he? Looking gloomy, Sarutobi called out to the door. Exist. Kakashi came in and put on a paralyzed face. What do you think, if Uchiha Baiyi's strength is compared to yours? Wu Wu Kai heard the words and was silent for a while. Then stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen ahead. Lord Hokage, please don't joke around. I feel that Tenmi will not be his opponent. The layout is small. Kakashi, the unit of measure, obviously doesn't know. Don't say 10. Even a few hundred Hatake Kakashi can't be Baiyi's opponent. Obviously. In some people, the law of forcing 5 to 5 does not apply. After saying this, Kakashi didn't even give Hokage a chance to speak again and turned away, leaving Sarutobi, who was staring in Hokage's office, alone in a daze. Night falls. Baiyi enjoyed the tenderness of the mother of the two Destiny children. And a message came out from the guards. Tomorrow, the guards will start a public trial in the central square of Konoha. Interrogated. Shimura Danzo, Sarutobi Shinosuke, Sarutobi Asuma, and the fourth Raikage of Cloud Shinobi Village. A flat thunder.